All right. Yes, it is way early. So we're going to see how this goes. It is way early. I 100% understand that. Let's start setting stuff up, and we will talk about what's been going on. So, first off, let's do, we'll start on that side with that, then we'll go C, then we'll do G.I. Joe, and then off of G.I. Joe we will go Marvel Legends. There, that'll be the first poll. That'll get that out there and running. Mic seems to be working correctly and everything. Hopefully this fan keeps me plenty cool, because I could feel it in here already a little bit. Part of the reason we're starting early, a couple of reasons. One, I'm still kind of raspy. I think I know, like, boy, have I had a time, okay? That's what we're going to say right off the bat. Boy, have I had a time. So I went from feeling fine to having my tooth break to having a bunch of pain to taking their medication because my tooth broke, and then they couldn't get me in, and then I got an infection. And then when I finally got in to be seen, they had to do a thing for my infection, and then they had me take this stuff, and then that helped take the infection down, or get rid of the infection. But then the issue that happened that's kind of wild is they have me take this medication, and they warn me. They say a lot of people take this medication and it messes up the bacterial biome, and sometimes they end up getting sick, but it'll take care of the infection. And I'm like, oh great, well I had a mild cold that I thought that I was just about at the end of. So I take those pills and I get all the infection down so they can work on my tooth. So they work on my tooth, and this cold that I have, you can hear it, I've been raspy for like a month now. I cannot beat this. Then, on top of it, they get my tooth set up and everything, and I'm set to go back and get sized up and everything for my crown on Wednesday. But then Friday, the power goes out here. Like, I mean, we had a major power out. It was not that you'll completely understand, but it was from here, and it was like 2-3 blocks away, all the way down at the local grocery store. I mean, we lost power. It was crazy. There were like 4 street lights that were out. I mean, it was wild. It's the biggest power out I've seen in this area in like a long time. Something went down. They said it was an equipment failure or something like that. They were sending out notices and things. Anyways, long story short, the power goes out. So we now have nothing to eat. So my wife is like, okay, let's go to that pizza buffet. I have to do some shopping anyway. It's around that same place. I'll meet you there, yada, yada. So we go. We eat there. At about 9-10 that night, I start feeling funny. Like, I start getting it's not like, it's like a very mild headache. But what's really irritating me is that my stomach feels off. And I'm like, oh crap. Well, probably have a bad bathroom in the morning. I go to sleep. I wake up and I feel awful. I mean, the room is spinning. And I'm like, crap. I take my shower, I get all my stuff together, and like a good little worker putz, I go to work, because that's what you do. I go to work. I'm about halfway through my day, somewhere around like 10:20, and I have to run to the bathroom. It is not good. Then afterwards, I have to leave work. I call my boss and everything, and I'm like, hey, there's no way I'm making it the rest of the day. If this is going to happen again, I'm not staying. So I get my stuff and I go home. And that night was not pleasant, to say the least. Then Saturday, I felt iffy. And now today, I feel mostly fine. Like, as far as I could tell, I'm over it. I'm pretty sure it was food poisoning. Like, I don't know, man. This is wild. I went from cold to sinus infection, back to cold, to broken tooth, to cold that won't go away, to freaking, to food poisoning, and now I'm back to the cold that just won't go away. Like, I cannot catch a break. It feels like it's been over 2 months now that I have just not felt right in one capacity or another. It is wild to me, but that is the life update, and then today I wake up and I say, hey, it's going to be the stream though. I'm feeling good enough to do it. We'll open some figures. We'll put off that Monday. It'll be great. Then I look out the window and it is clouds a-roaming. It's going to rain. Like, and I don't know how bad it's going to be. I know it's bad enough that we've already got one guy in the chat that's talking about how the rain is making it buffer and everything. So I got this feeling like if it starts coming down crazy, we may lose the stream. So back up. I know that's very, like, I know it's a big deal, camera, but like, come on, we don't got to emphasize it that much. Like, so we need to open some figures, or we might not open figures. That's basically what I'm saying. In terms of a channel update, because we always do one, as you notice, Zatanna went up last night. That was the first figure, literally, the first figure of January. That was the first one. There were some ones where we stepped off and did single videos. So there are technically 8 figures that we have reviewed this year. Those figures, as of now, in terms of what we have opened, we're at the halfway point of the year and I'm so behind in editing. We opened Zatanna and Detective Chimp. We opened X-Men Weapon X Logan. We opened the Green She-Hulk. We opened the Eternia Tila. The vintage Tila. We opened the... I don't know why that is doing that. I'll have to fix that. But there's one of these images that's like flipped. We opened Bowser Jr. We opened Scareglow Chronicles. We opened a Batgirl from the... Of course, it was a McFarlane Batgirl, and it was from Gotham Knights. And then we opened the comic book 89 Joker. Those are the only 8 videos this year that I have been able to actually edit because we have been that far behind. Like, I've got to get these edits done. I'm working on it. It takes time, especially when you like want to do other things too. Like I am trying to I just started my first run through the Justice League, the cartoon that I grew up with, Justice League. I started a run through of it Friday because I started feeling bad and I was like, well, I'm not going to do any editing or anything. I'm going to watch this show, and I put it in. I bought that and went through it right before my daughter was born. She was just about to be born. I knew this was going to change my spending habits. It was going to change the way that I spent money, and I was going to have to save some money, and I was going to have to watch what I did, and I was going to have to pull back on the selfish spending. So it was a bookstore at a mall that no longer exists. I went into their video section and I found the Justice League, the entire collection. It's in like a metal tin. It's got two big like binder, type of cases and whatnot. I bought it. It was expensive. Now keep in mind, this story, this price was a big deal. It was $140 then, and I bought it. And I said to myself, I even remember telling the girl that I was with, me and my daughter's mom are not together. We've never had any problems in terms of parenting and things like that. That's never been a problem, but we are not together. So sometimes when I tell the stories, people think that I'm still with. My wife is not. You get the idea. But I remember telling her, look, this is the last thing I'm going to buy. It's going to be a big drop. Don't judge me. I need this. I bought it, and for the 4 months waiting for my daughter to be born, I kicked through this way faster than that, but I watched all of the Justice League. My daughter is now 14 years old, about to be 15. So I have not watched even one episode of this show for nearly 16 years. So I figured it's about time, and I put it back in, and I'm up to the Faust episode, and I'm enjoying it. I'm also going to watch all of the extras, so I'm going to watch all the commentaries and things like that. It's neat. It's neat to watch it again, especially like the things that you think you remember so well that kind of like will surprise you that you don't remember as well as you think you do. I'm having a good time. I really am. And that is pretty much a giant channel update. And we are going to be starting with storage, which is not something that gets picked often, so cool. Well, the movie is out, Masters of the Universe. Hope you like it. I heard Jared Leto did well. Look, I don't know if it's the fact that I didn't have to see him. I don't know if it's the fact that his voice was, like, he modified his voice in a very specific way, and then I'm sure they modified it even further. I barely even heard him under there. Like, maybe if I was a Jared Leto fan, I would be able to pick him out of a group. Maybe it's a benefit to me that most of the time I don't see the things that he does and don't know the things that he does and don't care for any of the movies he does, so I don't like recognize his voice in passing. Maybe that's a benefit because Skeletor did not feel any kind of off and I didn't associate him with anything. I had a very good time with that. And I noticed, and there are multiple rumors here, so take them all with a grain of salt. I've heard rumors as far as he didn't like the way it turned out, to the studio telling him that he wasn't going to be part of the promotional run, to different things like that they consider him box office poison and things like that. I have not seen him, and I've been reposting a lot of things on Instagram, like interviews and whatnot with the cast, and like them showing off, them dancing and having fun and hanging out, like things, just really fun stuff with this movie. I loved this movie so much. So much. I cannot wait to own it. Like, I'm so happy about this movie. And he didn't bother me at all. I don't know if this is just as simple as, hey, with voice acting, sometimes the only thing that matters is the voice and everything else is the presentation of an artist. So as long as the artist is on key and the voice seems to fit, you won't worry about who it is. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Like, I've seen people already starting with the hate trains because it's a good way to get clicks and views and interactions on your posts and whatnot. I loved it. And I'm not, I just got a feeling most of the people that hate it or claim to hate it, it's either one, they're fishing for clicks, views, and interaction, or their life is just so filled with sadness that they can't like things. I don't know. This was a fantastic movie. It was so fun. And that's I don't know if anybody remembers 80s He-Man, but like that was a big part of it. It was fun and it was goofy, and like when did we start taking He-Man so seriously? That's what I do when I look at those like posts where people are like, "Oh, it was the same crap that Marvel puts out, blah blah blah." I loved it. I'm sorry, I know it's a family show, but man, I loved it. I don't care. I enjoyed the crap out of this. I would go see it again if I could. And who knows, maybe if I get the opportunity, I will. Hey, Bill, I can't stay long. I just wanted to say have a great stream and a great day. A question I have is, with Mattel making DC figures again, what do you want to see them do for the collector's line? So first off, ideally, the best thing they could do is make it so that they scale and look correct next to Marvel Legends. That's what I want. I want mostly the same level articulation, good articulation, but articulation. And look, I know people feel a certain way, and some people, they're very quick to be like, listen, guys, we're already seeing it. These are not scaled to Marvel Legends. And people are saying, well, look at the other Mattel toys and you'll see that it's definitely going to be 6-inch and whatnot. It's not a guarantee. The other two lines of this are scaled smaller than this. These scale a little bit larger, and they're like wider, super buff men and whatnot. If they play this angle with Batman and Superman and whatnot, and they make them these ridiculous barrel-chested huge guys, because sometimes that's exactly what the comics do, they won't look right standing next to these figures. They'll look weird. Like, it really is. That's going to be part of what's going on here, is that I just want them to scale well and have about the same level of articulation. That's what I want. It's all I want. If it doesn't do that, and I already have my cues. I'm looking at some of the female figures from Motu already, the Motu Chronicles line, which is one of their newest lines. So why would we not accept that that's a level of articulation that they're probably looking to go with current figures right now? This is not any kind of guarantee, but I'm just saying, if we're looking at that, they're playing the Marvel Legends game. The females are built like the old Marvel Legend females. They're lower in articulation. They have the single body cap stuff and things like that. That's what they're doing. That worries me a little bit for things like Wonder Woman. I don't know what to think yet. I just don't know. A lot of people, because not just you, a lot of people have asked, like, my opinions on the Mattel that's coming out and like what I want to see and things like that. It's really as simple as this. Match the current articulation of that line and scale it to 1/12 figures. I want Ryu to be able to fight alongside Batman, regardless of how ridiculous it is. That's what I want. I want Chun-Li and I want Chun-Li, I want Lara Croft, I want Snake Eyes, I want She-Hulk, and I want Wonder Woman to form a dream team. That's what I want. And I want them on the shelf, and I want them all to look like they belong with one another. Will that happen? I don't know. My biggest concern is very simple. We are starting over again. Guys, we have been doing this for as long as I can remember. As long as I can remember. Marvel Legends has this thing about it that people take for granted. It has been going forever. it has found its mark. It knows what it is. It designs the way it designs. It has the scale that it has. And when it updates, it does so in small sequences. DC doesn't do that. And it hasn't done that for decades. DC goes with a company, builds up a line of figures, sometimes hard to find figures, then puts them all out, and then you start collecting them, sometimes painstakingly. You finally put together a wave, you start to feel like you're getting somewhere, and then they come out and they go, wasn't working, we're going to go with something else. And then you got another wave of another set of figures. And they're all a different scale, all a different design, all a different articulation, and you start going with that. Then you start getting that put together, and you feel like you're getting somewhere, and they go, no, sorry, no. Let's try this. And they do it again. Guys, you remember those JLA figures in the 90s? Those super buff 5-point articulation, super jacked action pose guys? Those went away, and we got the DC Classics, and the DC Classics went away, and we got we had those was it, DC Icons or whatever, but they were they didn't appear in stores. They were incredibly hard to find. You basically ordered them offline, at least in my area. And just to tell you, I have 5 Walmarts, 2 Toys R Us's, and 2 Targets, and I had a Toys R Us, and still those Icons DC Direct things, they were impossible to find. I probably saw 1 in store ever in my area. So how did I get mine? I would drive, this is not an exaggeration, to 6 Flags. We used to do a trip, like a family trip, out to 6 Flags. It would be in their store. I would buy a couple figures and come home. I would save $300-400 to spend on figures while I was there because you couldn't find them anywhere. Then we went from that to it being well, hey, McFarlane is going to run the bulk of it now. And guess what? New articulation, new scale, new design, new figures. Everything that you've collected up to this point is once again useless. It doesn't scale or match with anything that's currently coming out. But at least this one is in the stores and readily available. So you start picking up this one. Then you run this one for a couple of years, and all of a sudden, hey, because so many people are unhappy with the line, we feel like we are not going to renew, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm assuming is going on. So they pull it back, they take the license, or Mattel just literally dog-walked the negotiations because they have money and power. Who knows? Mattel gets a hold of it, and Mattel is like, okay, now we're going to do new figures with new style, new articulation, and new scale. So now everything that you've currently collected up to this point doesn't fit with anything that you're going to have in the new wave. And once again, you scrap your entire collection and you start over. You scrap your collection and you start over. You scrap your collection and you start over. Do we remember this? I realize that's an old toy, but this is what I'm talking about. This wasn't something that evolved over time and started to change and started to look, where they added the knees and then they kind of toned the bodies down and they kind of, because go back and look at first run stuff from go back and look at first run stuff from Marvel Legends, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Marvel Legends, if you take early Spider-Man and whatnot and then compare them to a new Spider-Man, they look like they're from completely different companies. And I'm only including Hasbro in that conversation. I realized Toy Biz was a thing. But they look like they're from different companies. They're so radically different. But they evolved over time and found a home, and that's the way they build. We don't have that with DC because they keep jumping and they keep trying different things. And that's fine. It is nice to get different ideas, different perspectives. But for a collector that just wants a DC Universe on the shelf, that is tough. That's the reason you still hear people even today that are being like, I didn't buy any of McFarlane or DC Icons or DC Direct because I had DC Universe Classics and that's the line for me. Because they don't want to start over. Like, I don't know how long. Like, I am right there at the cast out point. I put a lot into McFarlane this time and kind of made it my DC home. If these figures are not kind of exactly what I need them to be, I don't know if I can justify doing an entire other wave. Listen, we collect for different reasons. You already know this. But in those different reasons that we collect, it's important to remember we don't collect for the sake of buying stuff. So when you see people that still have DC Universe Classics, and you're like, why would you still have that? Like, we've gotten so many better figures. Well, maybe they got something that spoke to them, a Superman. That is their Superman that's on the shelf. They don't need anything else. Guys, we've talked about this one before. Those Ninja Turtles right there, they're my turtles. I got them. Somebody released exactly what I wanted. Super 7 Ultimates released the Ninja Turtles of my childhood, larger and in modern articulation. I bought them, I put them on the shelf, and it has pretty much killed my Ninja Turtle collecting. Hold up. Yeah?
I think you need a chicken fix, don't you?
Yeah, it's yes. What's up?
Your chicken getting a bloodstream as well.
What are you wanting?
I'm just thinking if you guys want to eat at Gills tonight.
That's fine. What time?
3:34, whatever works for you guys.
All right. No, I think 3:30 is fine. Yeah.
All right. How's everything else going?
Fine.
Waiting with you?
No, not yet. Not yet. But I will text her and let her know in case she wants to come home early enough to do it. She's just hanging out with her sister. She's been there this weekend.
Sounds great. All right. Well, we'll see you about 3:30.
All right, later on.
Okay.
Cool. Stupid phone. That was my dad. I said, "Hey, we set a plan. We're gonna meet for dinner tonight. Doesn't interrupt our stream or anything like that. But hey, your parents call. Always pick up that phone. You never know what they need, what they might be setting up, what your last chance to hang out with them really might be. Answer your phone, even if you're on stream. That's the reason I keep the phone next to me. I answer my phone." Things like that. So, yep. And yeah, man, that's wild. You know exactly what it is that we were talking about. You know exactly. Yes, we are going for some chicken. You know exactly what we were talking about. But, so like, I think it's important to keep that in mind when we talk about collecting. And I think that's the reason that this Mattel thing is hitting a lot of people in a weird spot, where some people are basically, like, I've heard people that have said, I'm done after McFarlane. I get that, because I'm right there. My hobby is not about spending money. My hobby is about putting memories on my shelf. And sometimes that doesn't have anything to do with the figures being the best absolute or something like that. Sometimes all I need is just the one thing that really hit me just the right way, and I don't need anything else probably forever. They have released a lot of Ninja Turtles from a lot of lines in a lot of different ways with a lot of different articulations, a lot of different scales, and a lot of different qualities. Those are my turtles. It's all I need. It's all I need. They kind of killed my collecting. I got exactly what I wanted. For some people, if DC Classics was exactly what they wanted, they don't need anything else probably ever again. And so when you ask, and I know this became a big tangent, but I think this is a big thing. There's a lot of people talking about this right now because it really is a big question. What are we looking forward to with Mattel? Are we going to buy Mattel? Is this going to be worth it? Are we looking to start over again? Well, with Mattel making DC figures again, what do you want to see from for the collector's line? Don't cheap out. Give me basically something that will scale with this. It's all I need. It's two easy things. Do for the women of your line the same that you're doing for the men of your line. If Superman can do a sit-up, then that lower articulation needs to also be applied to Wonder Woman. She needs to be able to do a sit-up. And I don't care how ridiculous that sounds. And I don't care about, there's this argument, ooh, that breaks up the sculpt. Break it up. Break it up. I want my figures to be able to pull off relatively the exact same poses across the line. One could argue that Spider-Man doesn't need to pull off the same exact, like Daredevil doesn't need to have the exact same articulation movement as Spider-Man, but he better be awfully close. That's my argument. Will we get that? I hope so. I do. Mattel has done terrific work. You can't sit here and call me like a McFarlane fanboy or something like that. You can't do it. My concerns are valid like anybody else's because realistically, I collect Mattel. I see their new lines. I have this. I have a couple of wrestling figures if people think that that's what they're going to be based on. I collect modern Mattel and have done so for a while now. So I've seen some of the practices that they play, like where they're willing to walk the females of their line backwards in order to create money for the rest of their line and stuff like that. And you know how I felt about that with Motu. They released the worst She-Ra ever put to action figure plastic. You can go watch that video. It's awful. I break down in real time as to just how disappointing it really is for me. So it's going to be interesting. But to simplify the entirety, I'm just tired of upgrading over and over and over and over. And I just would like to sit with a line long enough to build a shelf and have it scale with the rest of my stuff. Let's be honest. The absolute scale for action figures. This is going to be mostly different for everybody, but I would argue it's 1/12. That is the dream scale. It's the scale that works the best. When figures go out of that scale, they often don't match with anything and they end up standing alone. And kind of another part of collecting that seems to be a normal thing now with all this is we like to put them together. We like to have dream team-ups like Red Sonja and Wonder Woman. Can we do that if they're not both in 1/12? Iffy. Iffy. Sometimes maybe, but it's iffy. So there are things that I'm worried about. But aren't we all? We're all gonna have valid concerns here. And for some of us, I have been told directly in my DMs that after McFarlane, they're done. They're not willing to start over again. This is a DC problem. They have never stayed anywhere consistently enough to build a line like Marvel Legends. This could be their shot. Mattel is big, and Mattel does long-lasting lines. But then again, Mattel also does this kind of game where they start something, they run for a while, they dip it out. And like Masterverse, now we're on Chronicles. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, as soon as you feel like you've you've basically gone the distance, you're waiting for the last couple pieces that finish off the line. Like, we never got a Castle Grayskull. We never got a Castle Grayskull. Do you realize that for Motu, with Mattel, Masterverse may be the first and only line to have ever went the distance without getting a Castle Grayskull? Even the core line, already has a Castle Grayskull. The core line. It's on wave 1. Masterverse didn't get one. And it didn't even finish the entire core line of original figures. And now Mattel is going to run DC. Will we get most of the figures we want? And then they'll go, oh, wait, we got this idea. We're going to change the entire scale and line. And like, you know, it's kind of weird, though. It's kind of like a comic book problem. Comic books constantly want to reboot and retcon and change the art style and move artists and change the storylines and makes it accurate. So yes, I have real concerns. All of these concerns are extreme speculation. And I have big hopes, large scaling dreams, if you will, because now we could actually see them produce a line of figures, which actually we didn't see that, but we could see it. Mattel owns it. So why wouldn't we see Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and things of that nature in the Motu Origins line? Would that be cool? Because I actually think that would probably be cool. Can you imagine a line of Origin DC as well to go with things like the Thundercats and the Ninja Turtles and the She-Ra and the He-Man that's already out? Wouldn't that be cool because they shared a comic universe anyway? That's a dream now. That's a real possibility. We could see that in the next couple years. There's so much good that comes with this Mattel thing. But that doesn't mean there's not concerns here. I know that's a long answer to your question, but I don't think this is an easy topic. I really don't. And for a lot of collectors, they are exactly where I am. We need to see the figures. And the core line is not enough for me to declare anything real about it yet. I need to see the figures. I can't speculate this time. Not when my money is involved, and not when I've already invested so much in so many other DC lines over the years. Speaking of which, storage. Starfire. A good one, too. This is a fantastic Starfire. From the hair that actually acts as a stand, it goes so far down that when she actually stands, she can lean back on her hair. She has okay articulation. It wasn't that great, I would argue, even for its time. She's got this. She's got the hardcore, not even a 90-degree elbow. I wouldn't even give her a 90-degree elbow on this. That's not even fair. There's no wrist movement here. There is a weird forearm movement that they gave her, but it doesn't work the same as wrist articulation. She has a punching hand, and she has this, and that's all she has. She doesn't get anything else. She can T-pose and things like that, but she can't really take a whole lot of dynamic. She has like this weird thigh swivel. Like, you can kind of get something like this going on, where you could put her on a flight stand and have her flying, kind of. What I like the most about this was the look. That was what I liked the most about this. And this, interestingly enough, tags right back to the discussion we just had. This these turn into DC Classics. DC Classics turn into this. This turns into that. Buy it again and again and again and again and again, and every single time nothing scales or looks the same or fits together correctly, and there we go. But I really liked what they were doing here, but I thought it was still behind. Like, I remember I bought some of these because I bought the Superman, and I thought he was just a fantastic Superman. He had this cape that was just wild out all over the place and everything like that, and he had a metal S, and he just had this face sculpt that really spoke to me. Like, their sculpt work on this line is dead on. It's so nearly perfect. It's so good. But their articulation left a lot to be desired. I'm talking a lot to be desired. And every single figure seemed to have something that was like in their way. I kind of referred to this line as the in their own way line. A Superman has this gigantic, flowing, wild, everywhere cape. And it ain't fabric. He can't sit down. He can only take very specific flight poses because of the cape. He can only move in very specific ways because of the cape. He's dealing with the same kind of articulation problems that she has. She has the same kind of problem. Her legs don't move in a way that, like, that's it. And it's really awkward. It's like, so she can't sit down. Her hair is literally in the way. She would like to turn her head for you, but her hair is like wild and like it kind of like loops. They try to get it out of her way by like wrapping it, and you see how far back it goes from her head. But then like her head is always kind of like weighed down. She can't like look down, even though she can, but she can't because her hair's too heavy. And she will never look up, even though she can, but she can't. This line of figures were all like this. Every single one of them had some kind of articulation issue that like had them in their own way. They couldn't sit down. They couldn't move their head right. Their arms would get hitched on their own cape. They couldn't like move their legs back because the cape like hindered. They were really heavy or whatever. That Superman I had to put on a flight stand because he wouldn't stand up. He would constantly like fall back, and then the cape would like bend, and then he'd be on the shelf like this, or he'd fall forward, or like, and in his ankles, when I finally got him, his ankles started to give out where he just started kind of creeping forward all the time. And then like his ankles kind of loosened because the pins didn't hold up because the cape was so heavy. Almost every single figure in that line looked the business. But they didn't last long. And if you were an outbox, if you were not an inbox collector, if you were an opener like me, you would take these out and you would mess with them and you would try to pose them and you would create something, and you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. And also, no articulation anywhere in the upper torso. Yeah, it doesn't move. This is just one solid piece. Once again, a worry I have, because I'm seeing that the Motu line, Motu Chronicles, is already doing this. Their Tila is another one of these unbroken, no lower articulation problems. It worries me with stuff like that. But like this, something out of storage, a memory, a remembrance. So were these. Does she stay in the collection? Is she unique enough right now? Hard to say. That would be her scale next to this Batman. Is that fine? Probably enough that it won't look too awkward on the shelf, and she is still, like I said, she's got an amazing sculpt, which helps her kind of survive the shelf for a little while. I don't have a Starfire, but look, you want to talk about first one out? It would be this. If I could get another Starfire, almost any design that would take her off the shelf, that would be it for her. She's not going to the sales table yet. And I'm pretty sure I have her shoulder pads. There are 2 shoulder pads that break off constantly. I'm pretty sure I have them somewhere. So my thing right now, I'm keeping her. Circumstantial. She is first one off the shelf the second I get another Starfire. And with this line currently running, the Volt line for McFarlane, she's probably real close to being gone. Because the Volt line is going to be releasing figures that we either missed, or were very hard to get a hold of, or became astronomical on the aftermarket. And if that's the truth, then she is probably coming back out. And if she does, then I'm going to get her. And I realize it won't be in this costume, but this will probably leave the shelf immediately. And these 2 guys, they are definitely leaving the collection complete. Like, this was a different time in action figures, man. Do we remember back when, like, everybody, like, in the 90s and early 2000s were just, like, mega buff? Like, everybody was exaggerated. This is the Flash! And he's not, but look at him, man! Wally, you hitting that gym in the off time? In between cases, are you? 'Cause holy crap, man! Them some built boys right there. Built boys. Let's set up another thing here. Let's do... There, let's run this. Let's continue talking. We opened our hearts. Like I said in the group chat, my power got knocked out from the storm over here, so get ready. That's what I was concerned about. It's the reason I decided to go live so early, yeah. And yes, I agree. The Unlimited, if that's what you're talking about. Well, so you're either talking about Justice League Season 2 or you're talking about Justice League Unlimited. Both of them are very good. I actually like the entire series except for one problem. The first Justice League season. They rely a little too much on hurting Superman. Like, why is he paper mache? Like, he gets hit by a missile, he goes down. Like, the Manhunter shoots some electricity, he gets knocked down. Like, it just always just getting wrecked. Like, and it's weird, too. It's so inconsistent how they make his powers, too. Because, like, when the Manhunters show up in the second main storyline, the Manhunters show up, and they blast him, and he's like, ugh, he gets caught off guard, and then he flies into one, puts one into a wall, punches it, gets hit, flies back into a car, comes back, because they can't really hurt him that much. They're just kind of knocking him around. Then one guy puts his blaster thing up, the Manhunter puts his blaster up to full power. He walks through it, grabs it, breaks it, then puts him on his butt, and then, like, all of a sudden the Flash runs up and they talk for a second, and one Manhunter is like, pew! And it hits, like, him and the Flash, so it's not even a full hit. It's kind of like a ricochet, like a blast that kind of affected the both of them, and Superman is out, man. He's down, he's on the ground, he's out cold, he's like gone for like the next like 2.5 minutes of the fight, and I'm like, what? How? Like, and it's constantly, they're just constantly putting him on his butt, because then it makes it look like, ooh, if Superman's having trouble, this is serious. This is serious. So, like, I'm glad they got away from that. They found more real reasons. Have him be busy. Have him be depowered for whatever reason. Have him deal with the most prominent part of the problem. Like, he's Superman. And people were mad about the amount of getting beat up that existed in the new Superman movie. I love that movie. I don't care. I think people are over-exaggerating the amount of whippings he really took. But, you want to see a Superman get beat up? Justice League, Season 1. Oh, there's whippings, boy. There's whippings to be seen on that one. He is getting whopped on. Whopped. Every episode. Every single episode that he is in, he gets beat. He does not have even one single victory yet. Not one. That's impressive. Wonder Woman, beat him up. Manhunters, beat him up. Missiles, beat him up. Fish dudes, beat him up. Can we Superman at all here? Martians, beat him up. He cannot consistently win anything in that show so far. It is amazing to go back and watch Superman receive butt whippings every single episode. Like, it's amazing. I have Justice League and Unlimited on Blu-ray. I thought about upgrading before I decided to watch. I don't think it's needed. I think that it looks absolutely fantastic, even on the DVD. I'm sure the Blu-ray does help certain things, but so far, like, it hasn't been anything that's been too concerning to me. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I did look it up. I would prefer like one big Blu-ray case that has all of it. I found like volumes on Amazon. I'm not spending $40 a volume. I'm not doing that. But yes, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh my God. What was happening? And that's a Superman that everybody loves. Everybody loves. Everybody talks about, when I was a kid, Superman, blah, blah, blah. That's the Superman you grew up with. That Superman right there. Holy crap. Wouldn't it be funny if they completely replaced Jared Leto's voice in the movie, but were contractually obligated to say it was him as Skeletor? Here's the thing. Yes and no. I don't like Jared Leto. As I've said before, I have yet to see even one single movie that I think that he was standout in, or that is a movie that I truly like. I've been given a couple suggestions. I haven't had a chance to see them yet. None. That's impressive to me. And with that alone, I would probably say, yeah, I get it. I agree. However, then I look back on people that have actually had this done to them in movies. And while one could argue it made the movies better, Darth Vader, for instance, what it must be like to be one of those actors. And to be told that you are the voice, the character, the icon, to be lied to like that, I cannot imagine what that has to be like. Like, people are worried about things like AI right now, replacing and like taking over and doing voice acting and whatnot in video games and things like that. You know that we never really stood up for some of these actors that got absolutely washed by crap like this with human intervention. Like, do you think that the guy playing Darth Vader went through the process of doing all those lines and taking that job that level of seriously if he had known from the beginning that he was just going to be removed? Have we heard the original voice for the Shredder? Like, have you ever seen those previews and heard the original voice for the Shredder in the original Turtles movie? It ain't the same voice that we hear in the movie. What's he got to feel like after he filmed that entire movie and gave it his all and actually was acting? And, you know, how's he got to feel when he goes and he watches it and he's like, that's not my voice? I mean, he can still be proud of some of what he did, but there's parts of him missing. Have you ever seen the interviews with the kid that played young Christopher Reeves in the Superman movie? Reeve, sorry. Do you remember some of the stuff he said? That he took his family to see that movie. He was excited that he was young Clark Kent. And when he got there, nobody had told him that they replaced his voice with Christopher Reeve. What does that feel like? To be blatantly dead-faced lied to when you're doing something like that? If you sign up for the role and you understand that you're going to be voiced, that you're a body capture, we need your image, this adds a big part, we can't do it without you. If you understand that, that's fine. You'll kind of phone it in, you'll give your lines, but you're not too worried about it. You understand that this is all going to be done in post. You understand you are part of a project. You were hired for part of a project. When you are hired and blatantly lied to and your voice is like removed, and that's got to be horrible. Like, that's got to feel like the biggest kick in the teeth ever. And we never talk about it. It happens in a ton of movies. There are a lot of examples of this. And nobody ever feels bad or cares anything about it. They just go, oh man, movie was so good, blah, 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 James Earl Jones. Interesting. We never care about that. The DC Kids line does scale with Marvel Legends. Yes, but the core line of Motu Chronicles the core line of the Motu stuff that's coming out, the Kids line and Motu Chronicles are not the same size. So that's a Mattel property. So what I'm worried about is that will the Kids line scale with Marvel Legends? But then, because this is the collector's line, it's got to be just a little bit bigger. Let's go 6.5. If they do that, that will put every DC figure bigger than Marvel, and then, of course, it won't scale. I do think there's actual reason to wonder. We need to see the figures. Like, and I know they have to have something by now. We could at least see the grayscale of what they're working on. But they are keeping it awfully under wraps. We need to see the figures. The Flash, the buffest man alive. I run. Now that I'm home, I think Motu got serious around the 2000s show. Definitely Revelation and Revolution. Yes, but there's always been an innate goofiness. Even in Revelation, Fisto says, I'd sure like to fist him. So it's always been goofy. And even Revelation and Revolution calls itself out in the middle of its seriousness to do things like, where Cringer goes, are you telling me you could have hugged me into Battle Cat all these years? Like little things like that, and like Orko showing up, and there's moments of heart and everything, but that existed in the 80s show. Like, I'm not sure. I've seen complaints online where people like think that this was like their chance to see some serious Motu, and people that are like claiming that the '80s movie was better because it took itself seriously. No. Just no. I do not agree with that in the least. Okay, we have a three-way tie. So, I get to pick. We're doing this. Yeah, that's right. We're doing them. Yeah. That's right. Star Trek time. Trek. Kurt Rats. Okay? Kurt Rats. Playmates. That's right. Barkley time. We've talked about this many times. $10. And I probably got it for cheaper than that. I think I bought this as a set of like 4 or 5 at the same time, and I probably got marked down to like $7 a piece or whatever. This is a very versatile, expansive set of figures that you could still find easily boxed, and even if you're an opener like I am, it's not gonna hurt your feelings to open these at all. Like, I'd be out $10. My resale value! No! Get over it. Now, there are some figures in this line that are worth a couple of pennies. Recently, I did a video and I got contacted by somebody that I know directly. He runs a toy store, and he said that he can get me the Commander data, the red suit Commander data. Red suit data that served with Jellicoe and whatnot is not one of these figures. It's very late in the line. Like, I think it might be, I think he said like it's 9th season or something like that. It's like basically the end of the line, and it was done in limited quantity. And that data is like $125. Cost pennies. Real money to own. That is one of the figures I do want. Do I want to spend that kind of money on something that is consistently $3, $7, $10? No. I have options. There's a lot of reuse in this line. I mean, look at it. There it is. If I find a command and I find one of the skinny ones, or if even I take something like this and I repaint it, just buy another data, repaint it, and make my own command, I could do that. Is there something to owning the original? Yes. But if I get the chance to own that original, he will probably be one of the very few that do not leave the box. But then, one has to ask, what kind of condition would the box even be in if you got it? Could I find one? I have not personally went out looking for one. Could I find one not in box that would cut that price significantly? Because if so, all I want is the figure, and I'm an opener anyway. Would that be the best way to go about it? Probably. I bring this up because I've opened a couple of these, and I often get that comment like, why are you opening them? You know that you lose your resale value. Your resale value? Are you kidding? $10? Relatively, if you open a figure and you keep it in good condition and you have all the stuff that goes with it, you lose about 30% of your resale value. That makes Barkley a $7 figure. Oh no. Like, Like, I'm just not worried about it. I did have a question. A real question. It wasn't like some guy being a prick or whatnot. He had a real question. He said, "Why do you open your figures?" I've always had the interest in doing so, but I'm an inbox collector. I collect all my stuff. I keep them. And I've always been kind of curious why you open them. And I told him, the monetary value, it doesn't matter to me. It's not what I'm collecting for. It has nothing to do with anything on the shelf. A third of the time that we review figures, probably more than that when we talk about the stuff that we're talking about, I don't bring up the price except for to make points about the industry at large. Like, I will warn you and say, like, hey guys, this is $130. You're going to have to justify it. We're all going to have to find our own reasons to put our money in. This is why I would do so. See Necron. I don't feel bad about the money that I spent on that lazy guy over there in that chair at all. I don't miss that money in the slightest. And I am not concerned in the least about getting that money back. None at all. If I never see that money again, that's life. Guess I'll work another Saturday. I mean, I'm going to do that till I retire anyway, so what does it matter? The monetary value is not the reason I collect. I want the tactile experience. I want to be part of what I collected. I want to open it. I want to see it. I want to play with it. I want to move it around. I want to do poses. I want it. It's part of it for me. Why Barkley? Like, I could buy any figure. I go in, I'm at the convention, I have a chance to buy any figure there. I look around, and I find this guy, Barkley. Why Barkley? Of all the figures that I could have bought, not a bad likeness, by the way, for basically a cartoon Barkley. Why would I want skittish, weird, like, not like the other heroes Barkley? You want the truth of it? I love Barkley. For all of his eccentricness, for all of his problems, for all of the issues that he has, for all of the difficulties he faces, for all of the troubles, and the way that he doesn't seem to be like all the other heroes, I love Barkley. Barkley is us. He's us. This is a regular guy in their world. Sure, he's way smarter than us, like way more intelligent than us. This guy is a scientist through and through. But, like, he has anxieties. He doesn't like to talk in front of people. He would rather play video games than insert himself into social situations that he doesn't know how it would go. He has trouble making friends. He can't just walk up to random anybody's and be like, hey, I'm Barkley, blah, blah, blah. I've accomplished all these things. Admire me. He can't do it. It's not him. He's just a guy. He's the most regular guy I can think of. He goes off and he plays video games. Sometimes inappropriately, he does some things in the holodeck that we'll try to skip by. But at the same time, how many of us have played things like, with like the Mii's and things like that, and made all your friends? There's that Miiverse or Tamagotchiverse or whatever right now that's happening. Tamagotchi or whatever. I don't know what that game is. You know what I'm talking about. That game right now, how many people are like making all their friends? Like, that's a regular thing. Of course, he has the holodeck. It brings up some real questionable stuff we're trying to skip by. But because it's a means for storytelling, and really what Star Trek is morality plays that we can relate to and learn something from, I'm kind of skipping by the more extreme version of what the holodeck brings. But, like, if that's their idea of a video game at that time, he's playing a video game where he makes all of his friends, then implants himself into that universe, trying to build his confidence up that way by interacting with these people. He sees them as friends. Half of them are talking behind his back, making fun of him. They call him broccoli. He's just a guy. And I love how it actually humbles our heroes later on, our big main cast, to actually have to look him in the face and see how they've treated him. And it kind of kicks back on them for a minute, and they're like, oh man, like, we were talking about him behind his back, we were giving him crap, we were laying into him because he's just not like us, because he's slightly different, he's not as confident. Like, they literally had to see him to get over themselves. I love Barkley. I think he's absolutely fantastic as one of my characters up there. He will go onto my Star Trek shelf with no qualms whatsoever. He's not something I bought because he was affordable. He's not something I bought because you got to get all of them. He's something I bought because I think he actually adds something to the Star Trek universe. And he shows us, all the way back then, that we're all included in Star Trek. Even the anxious, awkward guy is still in the future. You still have a place. For all those people that think that, like, Star Trek has gone over the deep end or gone too woke or whatever, pay attention. It was always playing that all people are a part of the future. All of them. Even the awkward, socially inept guy with all the little eccentricities. He's right there. He was a main character. I love Star Trek. I love Barkley. I'm glad to have him on the shelf. There's nothing else to say about him. Let's set up. There. Let's do. Let's do that. Let's do that. And there. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hey, what's up? We are way behind on the comments. A lot of people talking today. Since I didn't mute, so I was just on the phone talking to him. That's fine. Let's see. NECA showed Ninja Turtles with diaphragm articulation yesterday. There's no excuses anymore. Right. If Ninja Turtles can now do sit-ups, Superman and Wonder Woman better be able to do the same sit-ups. What's up, Bill? What's up, Bill? Hope all is well. If you go see Motu movie, I heard there are 3 end credit scenes. I did see it. I love it. I loved all 3 of those credit scenes. McFarlane's were great at $20. Not so much now at $25. Now Todd's pushing a $60 plus tax and shipping Savage Dragon. He deserves to lose the DC license. I will not defend the $60 line. We have talked about Elite here on this channel, and I have said, $60? What do you think you're selling? I agree. As for him losing the, deserving to lose the DC license, I don't know that I can agree. My hate doesn't go that far. Prices are going up. And just to put this out there, Remember, Jada had a honeymoon phase too where we were all praising prices, and guess where they are now? Shaggy is a $40 figure. I'm just saying, we're watching everything increase, and while some lines have been able to come out and basically take the hit at the beginning to generate interest, Fig Arts is famous for doing this. They will put out a $20 or $30 figure, get you interested, have you buy the first one, and then like a drug dealer, all of a sudden when you need your next character, a lesser character, less known, less produced, less plastic, they'll be like, that's $135. For what? For who? Why? Not acceptable. I won't even buy from them because I know what I'm getting myself into. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. But nobody seems to be coming at them about it. They all talk about how great their figures are. Like, and then we have McFarlane. McFarlane maintained a $20, $25 price point for a very long time. Way longer than the others were. And now everything is up. Do I think that it's up enough for Elite to cost $60? No, I do not. Silverhawk, Savage Dragon, even that Spawn figure, that was a push. Why did I buy that Spawn figure at $60? Because I wanted one knockout Spawn for the shelf, and I feel like I got it. I will probably never need another Spawn as long as I live. I got it. I was willing to take the hit. Is that what he's banking on? Is he banking on Savage Dragon? There's really not much out there. That's your only chance. If you want it, come get it. Is he banking on the Persona license being something that doesn't really create toys that often? So if you want it, this is your only chance. Come and get it. There's a possibility he's milking it for what he can get. There's a very real possibility he's milking that line for what he can get. Does he deserve to be called out for that? Absolutely. But when Marvel Legends are now costing on the average over $30 and DC just followed suit, I don't see that I can call him out that hard about it. I really don't. We're paying almost $40 a Marvel Legends right now. At base. So, like, the prices just kind of are what they are. Not that I agree with said prices, but they really are. And, of course, with everything going on in the world, those prices are probably not going to get better. They may very well get worse. And then there's always the idea that people say, well, those prices will come down. Have you ever seen prices return to their basics? My biggest worry with things like this is that prices have gone up. And this is where toys are now. Like, we may see a couple people come out that kind of have that honeymoon phase and then realize they're missing out on big money or something like that. But, like, I don't know. Call me cynical. But there have been very few times in my life that I have watched prices go back down to what they were. Ever. Like, in almost anything. So, I don't know. I don't think I could say that he should have lost the DC license. I think that's a little too hardcore on the, like, McFarlane hate. But to call him out for the $60 Elite, basically the same as the rest of the figures I'm already putting out line, that's fair. Absolutely. Just because you slap a red tag on it doesn't mean that it goes up in value. You're still using the exact same articulation scale, same capes, same sculpt, same paint. What justified that 60? What was it? That's bogus. I can't call him out for the DC stuff yet, though. I really can't. I got that Solomon Grundy back there. That's $60. But it's basically $30 a figure, and it came with a giant figure, which probably would have been priced $40 or $50 by himself. In fact, if we take to scale something like Juggernaut for Marvel Legends, that Solomon Grundy is probably bigger than him. Marvel Legends probably would have charged us $60 just for that. So we still kind of got to look at his line, and we got to be realistic to the prices that surround him. I think he's still in competition with the rest of the field. Hey everyone, Bill, do we need figures of the Barbarian Brothers? What is that? Do I know what that is? Wally is hanging out with Chris Redfield and eating his creatine pancakes. That's no joke. And he eats a lot of them in the morning. You got to keep that speed up. That goofy, super buff, pre-posed, barely articulated era of action figures is my least favorite era. All of those figures sucked. I mean, you know what, though? It wasn't even just them. It wasn't even just them. Like, sure, we got lucky and we dodged it with Star Trek. Star Trek was this, you know what I mean? But, like, do you remember when Luke Skywalker was mega ripped? You remember when Luke Skywalker was in, like, the Power of the Force action figures? And he was, like, super mega ripped, and he had that white shirt, and it was, like, skin tight. Everybody was, like, low articulated, so friggin' buff. Batman was like that. So, like, the Batman figures were like that, and then that bled into things like the Justice League action figures, and then, like, Star Wars action figures came out, and they were all super mega buff. And remember, Power Rangers, too, had those, had super buff figures for a while, where, like, the Power Rangers were all, like, all ripped and everything. Like, why? Why is everybody so buff? Like, dude, that was, like, a thing of the era. Was that, like, that was just like a thing. And it wasn't just them either. It was comic books too. There were characters that, like, made no sense to be as buff as they were, that were, like, all of a sudden, like, mega buff. They looked like their muscles had muscles. Dude, it was so bad. It was so bad, man. It's unbelievable. Oh, man. I'd give cash money for new figures from Hercules, Legendary Journeys, and Xena by Four Horsemen or Epic Hacks. Yeah, I could agree with that. It would be very, very cool to see a new Xena on the shelf. You heard what I said. You heard me leave out Hercules. You heard that. That's not a mistake. I did that on purpose. He wasn't my show. Admittedly, going back and watching Xena is a little too goofy. I have to watch it in the right mindset now, kind of, to be in with it. But I attribute that in my own headcanon to saying that she was chosen by the god of war as well. So perhaps there is something mildly superhuman to her, even though she's not played that way. And their universe seems bizarre because nobody seems to really get hurt by some of the stuff that's going down. Like, where some of those people should be absolutely dead after taking a punch from Hercules. So, like, it's a goofy cartoon-like universe where we just kind of let some of these things slide. I think Xena and Hercules could definitely do for, like, a reboot that takes itself a little more seriously than that series did. Because it's weird. That series will go, like, mega hyper, like, real, where they're trying to be super serious, like where there's an entire episode where Xena took, like, one arrow and she's literally out of commission for days. It almost kills her. Like, that's super realistic. And then, like, the next thing, she's, like, jumping 50 feet in the air and doing, like, a side flip thing and then jumping off some guy's head and then, like, jumping off a wall and, like, doing a thing where she throws a thing and it, like, hits 9 things and, like, hits a guy. What is happening right now? Like, it is so wild how quickly they go from one extreme to the next in sometimes the same episodes. It is wild. I do need to go back through both those shows. I really do. And I would love to see figures of them. I'm not necessarily going to, like, tag it down to the Four Horsemen or Epic Hacks. In all honesty, because the way that I like articulation, sometimes the Four Horsemen bother me because they really, really are in love with that 90-degree elbow that limits a mass level of, like, sword fighting articulation. that it kind of bothers me sometimes. That being said, they would probably do a lot of credit because they wouldn't mess up on things like face sculpts and overall dynamics. So that's kind of important. And they would probably give Xena a little bit of muscle instead of making her like a supermodel, which I think would also be important. I would like to see a line for those figures. I definitely would. Hey, what's going on? We are doing Super 7. Okay. Let's see. I have that. Let's get rid of that and that. And then, yep. That's what I got. Those are the only two that are left. Giving Soups a butt whooping in Justice League establishes threat level. It's the Star Trek Worf ass kicking effect. Right, it is. And I don't agree with it. I think it really, really hurt that character at the start. In fact, I have a video on here that's actually about Chun-Li and Worf, and it talks specifically about this and how it's a detriment to have a strong character in a story because writers that are not good at writing, because that's exactly what it is, will use that character to set the established threat level of the current issue by taking out the strong guy. But then inadvertently they play this trick over and over and over again, and what ends up happening is the strong guy becomes the biggest joke in the entirety of the show and or series. Chun-Li is the strongest woman in the world until a new character shows up that always becomes the person that's like her rival, and in the next animation will lay waste to her in like less than 10 seconds. And then we'll turn around in the next game or whatever and reestablish like Chun-Li is the strongest woman in the world. Is she? Is she? Are you sure? Because she has been beat by every other female to have made presence in the series so far. Seems to me like she might be the weakest. But then they still want to play that off. They want to be like, no, it's definitely the strongest. You got to understand that every single one of these were a circumstance and blah, blah, blah. Were they, though? Like, you can't keep playing that card and expect that Worf stays the strongest warrior on the Enterprise when he gets taken out by a backhand. Dink! And then Riker can fight a guy for like 7 hits. Maybe Riker could raffle stomp Worf. I don't think he should be able to. And then finally in Deep Space Nine, when they actually let Worf be Worf, because there were competent writers that said, whoa. We can't just beat up Worf. It has to be a problem for everybody, and he has to be the more standout that can handle the situation. Probably better than everybody, but can't do it alone because it's this kind of problem. Deep Space Nine did Worf tremendous favors. Next Generation saw him as the strongest guy on the ship and Worfed him over and over and over and over. And I don't think it's good for shows. I don't think it's good for characters. I don't think it's good for establishing canons. Like, all it makes it do is the strong character is not the strong guy if he's just beat up all the time. He's probably the weakest guy, or the guy with the absolute least battle tactics in the group, because regardless of how small he is, he's tripping over his own feet. That's how strong he is. Like, doesn't matter. I've seen good Jared Leto movies. It makes the whole thing sadder. He's really talented, but it's got to his head now, and he's a weirdo. I could probably see that, though I have yet to see any proof of it because I have not watched any of those movies. So everybody brings up Requiem for a Dream. Everybody says that. I will need to watch that at some point. Like, I really will, because if that is basically his thing, his big thing, then I need to see where his talent sits. Because there are plenty of actors that never get to shine and show you just what they can be, because you never get a chance to see it. Like, I would argue there's a lot of people that still see John Leguizamo as a comedian. You have never watched Empire. That's what I'll tell you. You have never watched Empire. Replacement isn't even the half of it. The voice of Frylock is homeless because they don't pay actual voice. Oh, yes. No. Okay. Yeah. Took me a while to pick up exactly where we were coming from. Yeah, Replacement isn't even the half of it. The voice of Frylock is homeless because they don't actually pay voice actors crap. Yeah, absolutely. Now imagine being a dude they dubbed over, no royalties, just $20 and shut up. Dude, 100%. 100%. Yes, that is a very real thing as well. It blows my mind sometimes when you can go to these conventions and talk to some voice actors who've like done some characters that have literally went on to make billions of dollars in franchise money, and they make less than I do. It's not a joke. Like, I've been able to talk to some of them that will tell you, like, basically exactly what they make. They will literally come out and tell you, relatively per acting job. Because, like, if you're asking them, like, hey, I kind of want to get into it. What am I kind of facing in the future and whatnot? And if you listen to some of these conventions, they'll sometimes tell you, don't get into this for the money because we make relatively around, like, $37,000. Maybe if we're lucky, maybe $40,000. Like, they'll tell you, like, they don't make anything. Like, and then that 40,000 is usually divvied up into how often you work, yada yada. So, like, they're basically doing 7 different acting jobs across different projects that pay into the course of that year, not like one solid gig that pays them throughout. So yeah, absolutely, voice acting is not a money gig. That's for sure. And it's the most easily ignorable actors because they can easily be replaced by the next guy that can fake that voice usually. I liked Jared Leto before he got put into the spotlight, before Joker and Suicide Squad, Morbius, etc., before the weird stuff that came out about him. It is sad. Requiem for a Dream as a Jennifer Connelly fan is a difficult watch. I don't like the abuse she gets, but as an actress, it's a powerful performance. Requiem is a good movie, but definitely not a fun one. Yeah, I've never seen it. That movie is, wow, pretty good, but hard to watch. A lot of people, I need to see it. I know that. I need to see it. Good acting performance. By the way, Bill, you've seen any of the gameplay for the new upcoming Wolverine? It's looking pretty good so far. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. It's not going to be open world. It's going to be levels. So... Insomnia, the only way that I know them currently is through the Spider-Man games, so I know them in open world territory. I don't know, I would imagine they're still just as good, but I'm curious to see how they handle levels as opposed to open world territory, because I've heard this is not going to be an open world. It's going to be like a level type of situation where they're going situation to situation, and that's fine. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very much interested in that game in general. And I've heard the way they're going to handle his healing or something like the more you fight, the more he heals or something like that. So it's going to pay to be aggressive, to play the game as aggressively as you can or whatever. There's a lot of things about this that I'm looking forward to. It seems very cool to me. I'm very much looking forward to this Wolverine. And I also like the fact that it felt like Wolverine when he got in there. Because I saw that one clip and the kid is like, are you a superhero? And he's like, no, I'm Wolverine. Because he doesn't view himself like that. Wolverine half the time doesn't even view himself as a good person. That's very interesting. That's cool. Excuse me. I skipped on Trek this time around because no one ever picks it with me. Of course, this is the time it wins. Something towards Commander Data. I'll need it. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. That will help because that guy's going to cost the pennies. Resale value is a terrible reason not to play with figures. Absolutely. Absolutely. That collect everything resale value over enjoyment mentality sure did wonders for the comics in the 90s. Oh! Oh, man. That ain't no joke. Oh, absolutely. Because, man, they are worth nothing. Some of those 90s comics you can't even give away now. It's absolute trash. You want to say you collected something? Say it sucks? Throw it across the room. Yes, this happened once. I know exactly what he's talking about. We were robbed with that game, okay? We were robbed. Soul Calibur 1, game breaking, good. Soul Calibur 2, absolute trendsetter. Soul Calibur 3 proved what the focus of a single system release could be. Soul Calibur 4, hey, you know what? We're just having fun here. Let's do the most ridiculous insert characters we could think of. Is Star Wars available? Get them in here. Soul Calibur 5. Sorry, no, hold on, back up. Soul Calibur, what's it called? Sacred Bonds or Broken Chains or whatever? Don't follow me around, camera. We're talking about Soul Calibur right now. That game, God of War, Kratos is in that, along with this weird dude with a top hat. Like, that game should have been ported. That game is a PSP game, and it should have been ported. That game is fantastic, and it is a detriment to the series that it was never ported and upscaled to the system to be played as a regular release. I said it. Because that is a fantastic PSP game. It's really good. What it could have done with a port and an update and some some increased frames and stuff like that, oh, it would have been unbelievable. That would have been one we're still talking about today. We're not talking about it because it was PSP, and that is the only reason I said it. Soul Calibur 5. With the history I just laid out, I bought Soul Calibur 5 Collector's Edition. I spent the big money. That is the worst game in the entire series. Hands down, no contest, garbage. So I did like a 15-second review of that game. Because it's trash. I need these extra figures, but with Galaxy Quest characters. Dude, it would be cool to see Galaxy Quest figures. Like, it would. That's not even a joke. It really would. And now... So look, now Galaxy Quest is under Paramount umbrella, and they could have a figure license. They sell toys, maybe. So here's the kicker to that, though. I heard that there's also a another movie. Like there's real talk of a Galaxy Quest 2 happening right now. And if that happens, they will more than likely try to dig into the nostalgia and guarantee figures. Because if you got Galaxy Quest figures, and then you continue the Galaxy Quest storyline, and you deal with the fact that they've lost one of their crewmates and whatnot, one of them died of old age or whatever they want to say, even if he died on a mission, however they want to put that out there, do not recast him. That's what I'm saying for sure. Do not recast him. He has passed. Add that into the story, and then continue and show me where Galaxy Quest ended up. That'd be beautiful. That would be absolutely beautiful. And if that movie really does happen, figures, I think there really is a chance. I think you really have a chance. Now listen, man. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it'll cost you a little more, but they sell bigger wallets. You could increase your wallet. And not the money that goes inside of it, of course. But your wallet could get bigger. Heard that in September, that Hasbro will be increasing the price across the board for their brands, including Marvel Legends, Joe's, etc. I don't know how to feel about that. I know exactly how you should feel about that. That sucks. Did you hear the news that they're going to be increasing our wages across the board? No, nobody heard that news, did they? Oh. No, man. I get it. Our wages are not going up, but you better believe every single part of life did. Every single part of it went up. Like, it is wild how much everything is costing right now. And it's not getting better. I will say, it's put me in this position, and I think a lot of other collectors too, where we are passing on a lot of things. Like, even people that originally did not cherry pick lines, I think, are cherry picking at the rate that I do now. So that's interesting. And like the way I buy my stuff, I tend to kind of buy things like well in advance. I rely on pre-orders because I can see something that's like 4 or 5 months out. And I can put, okay, well, here's $10, here's $10, here's $10, here's $10. I can buy something like that easier. In terms of going to the store and buying a figure and walking away from the store and coming home and being like, oh, I got a figure. What was the last one I did that with? Scareglow. I bought Scareglow, and I bought that He-Man. And those were the last ones I bought in the store. And they were a circumstance. Because it's easier now for me to plan ahead and put money back through pre-orders than it is for me to buy a figure. Because I can't just randomly drop $80 or something like that on something one time out of nowhere for tomorrow. Like, and then expect that I'm going to handle my bills and everything. I can't do it. I don't know how people smoke right now. I'm not kidding. I don't. If you smoke, I feel for you. Because with all the prices on everything else and cigarettes costing what they cost, I don't know how you do it. You guys have to be broke all the time. I honestly feel for you. Because I know what it's like to have a habit in general. One that you can't kick, and then one that's bleeding your money on top of the prices that we already are considering right now out the door all day, every day. That's got to be hard, man. That's got to be, I'm not even joking, that's got to be tough. Really. They tied. Let's do them both. It's one of the best Robins. I don't care. Okay. We're going to get rid of this. Put that over there. I'll get rid of it later. Ugh. Let's do this. Super 7. Splinter. Metalhead. Michelangelo. What? Yes. I don't remember this being a thing when I was growing up. I don't know what that's about. The Michelangelo thing? Maybe it has something to do with the cartoon? I don't know. When I was a kid, I did watch probably all of that series. Do I remember it all vividly? Of course I don't. That was so long ago. Guys, that was in the 80s. I was born in friggin' 84. I'm 42. So, like, no. I mean, I remember it. I had turtles. I played with turtles. I grew up with turtles. I know them. I read the comics. I really enjoyed the 2000 Turtles. I really enjoyed the Nickelodeon 2013. That's the best, hands down. For me, in terms of everything that I have ever seen, that is the best start to finish Ninja Turtles that I've ever seen. I think they hold the storyline well. They pull from all different source materials. They give me just enough of what I need for everything to be what it needs to be. They respect pretty much every single... I just think it's so phenomenal. It's my favorite one. For me, I always thought that Metalhead was a robot that Donatello built. Maybe I am misremembering, because it is also possible that in the cartoon, could he have been built by the Shredder as like a bad guy to beat up the Turtles or something? I don't remember. My memory is that Donatello had something to do with it. Or maybe Donatello reprograms it after he is a bad guy. I don't remember. What I do know is that when I had a choice at Metalheads, I chose this one. Why did I choose this one? Shiny. That's the only reason. So they were both on sale, and I could have went with the other Metalhead, the more original colors, which the original colors are just, I'll call them muted. They're not, but I'll just call them more muted than this. I mean, I see that there's an M here. I just always assumed that was Metalhead. I don't know, Michelangelo. I'll have to look that up. It really has me wondering now what it was that happened back then that I don't remember. What's this see? This says Warrior Metalhead Michelangelo, the original party robot. Designed to be Krang's ultimate weapon against the Ninja Turtles. So we are talking the animated series. Metalhead was reprogrammed by Donatello, see, I did remember that part, to serve the side of good. This chrome-plated sewer servant's eyes light up when you hold him up to the light, so he's probably got that head thing, and you hold the light, and it goes down. Where was I? Always the life of the party. Metalhead can chef up a whipped cream and jelly bean pizza. Man, they used to eat gross pizzas, man. Serve sodas, display video games, or rock the sewers with tunes from his jazzed up jukebox. This was so long ago. When trouble's brewing, Metalhead becomes one annoyed android and dishes out trouble with his Robo-Chucks and Foot Blaster. Why Michelangelo? Is there a reason that it... Why Michelangelo? Did they use his personality during the reprogramming or something? Like, I don't know what the reason for that is. I really do not. But I have him. I've always liked Metalhead. I've always thought he was cool. I like the idea of like the robot turtle and different things like that. I like these concepts. Like I like Faker and things like that. Always been into that. So this was cool. It was a guaranteed buy. I knew that I was picking this up. But my history with it, as you could tell, is garbled. I don't 100% know what was going on. I was too young, and then the older storylines are kind of where my mind focuses now with Metalhead. So I don't know what the Michelangelo part is about. Splinter. I had two choices for this Splinter as well. This is interesting because both these that we're doing at the same time had double choices. One choice was the regular Splinter figure, and the second choice was the flocked Splinter. With this one, I chose the shinier colors. I just thought that that would be cool. And with this one, I chose the non-flocked one, the regular one. I had argued with myself about this for a little while. I don't mind flocked characters. In fact, sometimes I actually do prefer them. Like I liked Panther in the flock. I think that's neat. We never got one for a Battle Cat, but whatever. With Splinter, I was under the impression that I'd probably be moving him around a lot. And depending on the kind of pictures I was taking and the situations I was doing, I didn't want to put myself in a situation where, like, it would chip away. Sometimes flocked characters have this thing where if you've been around long enough to buy flocked characters, because that was a thing for a while, like, their joints and whatnot, like, scratch up the flock, and then, like, as you move them and touch them and move them around and position and do things and put something in and out of their hands, and the flocking kind of, like, wears off. And just kind of having them out in the open, they kind of start to chip and fade over time. Toys age. That's one of those things that we argued about with, was it a good idea for Maximum Hulk to do the chest when we knew that it would probably color wrong, it would probably age over time and be weird and worn, and it would chip and crack. Yes, that's a very real possibility. In fact, I think it's an inevitability, and we all knew that, but they wanted to try something new. I don't hate that Hulk, but I also went into it knowing that that was a real possibility. But then again, I went into the Flock situation saying to myself, I'm not going to deal with that. What's the difference? I think there is a difference. I think understanding that that chest cavity will in time damage, warp, fade color, and break, it is inevitable. I won't be picking up the pieces of it all over the house forever. When my friends come over and we have a cookout and they bring their kids and the young kids want to play with toys, and I take out this Master Splinter, and I'm like, here's the Turtles and Splinter, and you know, play, have a fun time, have a good time. They're toys, play with them. If I do that with a flocked Splinter, I'm going to find it on the floor. I'm going to find it on the shelves. I'm going to find it, like, just all over other toys. And with flocking is it's one of those things that, like, it's cool until it's not. I am curious about the second head. I really am. Like this, they gave us 3 heads. None of them necessarily blow my mind. They're all fine. One of them, I think, is that effect head with if you shine the light down through his head, which is fine. Like I said, none of these blow my mind. All 4 of the Ninja Turtles came with alternate heads that kind of like updated them. There's updated versions of the Turtles, and then there's the heads that I use, the ones that I grew up with. April the same. April came with the head of the lady whom I don't know who that lady is, and April came with April's head, a modern update rescale of the figure, which is perfect, and I use the new head for the modern April because that's the one that I know. This guy, Slash, came with a head that kind of put him more in line with the other Turtles. He has like the beak and everything, and he just kind of looks like the Leonardo head. That's pretty cool, but it's not the one I wanted. I wanted the classic one, so I used the classic one. Casey Jones came with Casey Jones head. And that is it. He didn't come with like a broken mask or a second. He came with that's it. Shredder came with the Shredder one, and then as a joke to the screw up years ago, back when we had Shredder when we were kids, he came with the one where his eyebrows are painted on top of the helmet. That is not the one I use, but I love the fact that they added that. I think that's so fun. What does this guy have? I am legit curious. Let's see him. Nothing. I'm gonna be honest. That surprises me. I did not see that coming. I thought for sure that this guy would have another head, like a more modern or redesign or something, or like maybe one where like his mouth was closed and he didn't have the buck teeth, but like had like his that kind of thing. That surprises me. Like legit, it surprises me. Okay. Almost let myself down there a little bit, if you want the truth about it, because I was kind of expecting that there would be a second head. There's not. So, I am legit surprised. Doesn't ruin it. I see that he's still got that old robe. That robe. That robe. Oh my gosh. Well, let's open these guys. Let's see them. Okay, well, it's interesting. That's all his extra stuff. I will unpack that later. I don't think we really need to go over a whole lot of this right now. That's the reason I'm not too worried about it. He got the nunchucks. He got grenades. He got these two heads. One of them has the thing where you shine the light down through here and it goes through the eyes and everything. He's got this radar dish, boom box, jukebox thing they were talking about, which is fun. He's got the pointer finger that shoots the little tendril thing. He's got the two helicopter pieces here, and then he's got the different hands. When I took him out of the packaging, he exploded. That's how he came out. I don't think it's anything too severe. I really don't. But he did blow up. Let's put this in. Okay. I mean, it went in there. No. Yep. Okay. No issues. No issues. Nothing to worry about. I was a little concernicus. And that hand feels a little loose. Maybe. Oh, man, both his hands are kind of. Oh. Maybe one could argue that I might need to get a little piece of like sticky tack or whatever. His legs have this little wire thing here, which I don't love. I mean, I know what they were going for, but dang. He's gonna need to be loosened up. But is it wild that like the Ninja Turtles can sit down? Like, I can move his legs down. I just haven't done it. But, like, is it wild that the Ninja Turtles can sit down? And we are still getting figures in the $100 price range that they're their bodies are actually in the way. They can't sit down. Is that messed up? It's messed up. It is. Say that it is, because it is. That's weird. You know, I do not remember being able to see his brain. Like, that's his head. And you can see his brain in there. Also brings the question, did he have a brain? What brain was it? How does that work? I'm going to have to go back and watch this episode. There we go. It's on there. No issues. I just didn't expect when I took him out like that he would blow up. I mean, he blew up. Like the parts of him flew off and everything like that. His articulation, it's a Ninja Turtle. It is modern scale compared to what we grew up with, but it is very much a Ninja Turtle. But I don't need it to be anything other than that. I might put that other head on. I don't know. There's something about the painted eyes that are nice, but it's also cool to think that he has that thing that I grew up with. Like when I grew up, I had the Terminator toys, and they had the little 2 dots right here on the top of their head, and the light would shine through, and they would go red. That's kind of a cool effect. But then again, you're not really going to see that on the shelf. He's just going to like be on the shelf, so that's not necessarily cool. I don't know. I have decisions to make with him, but I don't hate the fact that I've got him at all. He's got these 2 little holes here. I know this is for the helicopter, but he's got 2 little holes right here. Is that just... I mean, is that just 2 little holes? Or is that actually for one of the things that he came with? I don't know. I don't know. I do know it looks like I'm having a little trouble getting him to stand up. There we go. Yep, you have little holes on the bottom of your feet, so if nothing else, we'll get you a stand. You're fine. You're good to go, Metalhead. No problem at all, man. Welcome to the collection. Pretty cool. Let's see Splinter, and we'll talk about this robe. Okay, so Splinter comes with his old weapons rack, which that's such a thing for Super 7. It's so cool. Like, it's pointless. All it does is go in a box for me, but it is so cool to get that old stupid weapons rack again. He comes with multiple hands, and that's what we're going to talk about for that part. I will, of course, open all those later. His bow looks way better than it ever did before. This is actually now silver, which is actually cool. So his walking stick that actually has the hidden blade, which is a cool feature for a guy like this, little ninja guy and whatnot. And then he's got the arrows. One of them is pretty bent up, but we'll see what we can do about that later on. And then he's got the pointless throwing stars that nobody ever used past like the first day that they got them because they lost them, and then that was the end of them. We have Splinter, and he comes with a baby turtle. A, as in one, baby turtle only, as in this is the only turtle that he has. He only comes with this. So, unless baby turtles came with other figures, you would have to buy 4 splinters to create the picture of 4 turtles and Splinter. However, that still wouldn't be right, because this baby turtle would be with a mutated Splinter, and that's not supposed to happen. He's supposed to be a man at that point in time, because we're talking about the animated series one. This gets really complicated now that I'm thinking about it. So the toy was based on the comic book. We know that. So Splinter was a rat. So shouldn't he have come with a small rat and baby turtles? Unless these baby turtles should have come with Hamato Yoshi, but that still doesn't make sense, because the toy wasn't... You get the idea? Like, this toy line has always been kind of funny to me. Like, you know that later on they realized that they were making the cartoon, and they saw what the cartoon was, and they kind of went back and they made a bunch of corrections and whatnot. And that's good and fine, because then the toys started looking a lot more like the cartoon, which was great. It was what we were watching, is what we wanted. But like the original first wave of toys was not based on that cartoon. It was based on the source material, the comic book, and then modified for toy ideas. Like, they added things like the color bandanas and whatnot, because they knew that they were going to have a reason for us to buy the same figures over and over and over again, and they weren't going to get that with, you know, with the normal collectors, the normal parents or whatever that were just going to buy toys for their kids. They were going to need a reason, so they had to differentiate the turtles. And this is actually a conversation that you can look up. You can actually look up the original recording of them speaking to some of the guys in Playmates as they were deciding on the toys, and they were talking about things like, we realize that this is the way that you guys have done it, but we think that, like, if we're going to get somebody to buy them, you're not going to sell the same turtle, same red bandana, same figure, same sculpt, just with a different weapon over and over and over again. We're going to have to give them a reason. So then they created the differentials and things like that, like the way that they decided to do it. So a lot of the turtles were formed through a type of collaborative in terms of what we grew up with. And that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. But it's just interesting to me. But here's Splinter, and I'm having a hard time. He's kind of wonky. Like, his feet are kind of giving me a lot of problems. Like, they turn, and he's got like a swivel, but like, it's really fighting me. And then even if you got the swivel, like, they chose not to make him stand straight up, which I feel like is a mistake. He's got his tail, so he's always going to have something there that will kind of prop him and work with him. Little more than I expected on the tail, if we're being perfectly honest. I always thought it was funny that, like, Splinter looked more like an ugly dog than a rat. Like, they almost had to give him these buck teeth and that nose to really kind of push him forward and make him be what he is. Right now, he's got the cloth robe. I had a cloth robe when I was growing up. And just like Gambit's coat, just like Batman's cape, nobody knows whatever happened to that thing. Came off the figure one day, and then he was just naked rat. My Splinter was naked rat man for years and years and years. I'm sure many other people also had naked rat men. I'm sure many people had coatless Gambit. I'm sure a lot of people had capeless Batman. Look, it was a thing of our time, okay? You don't know where that cape went. And you don't know why Splinter is naked. And you don't know what happened to that coat. Just figure after figure after figure that came with stuff like this, we would lose it. Now they give us a more rubber kind of stylized, got all the little, you know, effect and whatnot in it. I think that for the Shredder, I did not use it. I used the cape, and I kept the robe completely off of him. For Splinter, I might swap this out and put this on there. This looks fine. It is soft goods. It's nice for what it is. But there's something about the way that this figure is done plastic-wise that looks like this might just fit his design better. It might look more accurate on him than this. Maybe if I went and got like gauze and cut it up and did these wrappings myself, if I wrapped his foot and like, well, I guess that's actually supposed to be that weird naked part of the tail. But if I gauzed him up and whatnot, I wonder if that would help sell the robe, like the robe wouldn't feel off. I don't know. Otherwise, looks like I'm going to have no problem sitting him on the couch. $60 behind the times articulation figure can sit. Yes, I hark on that because when I pay well over $100 for a figure and he can't do a basic human thing, your articulation is trash. You know who you are. You know who you are, companies. He also comes with this steaming hot cocoa or coffee or tea, or it's got a little mug. It's got a little mug. I don't know why I like this. Splinter, added to the shelf. Childhood memory. Nobody knows where those coats went. Let's set something else up. We still got time. Let's do that. Bam. Okay. Still a lot going on here. Let's keep talking. See, Darkhawk, what I figured that I thought it was incredibly overpriced as a regular basic figure that comes with the same thing as any other McFarlane figure, DC Collector Edition, but $60? Right. Look. He's shooting himself in the foot with this. He's finally deciding to jump into comic books that nobody has been touching. Darkhawk? Look, man. Darkhawk. Spawn, which he's been doing Spawn for a long time. Savage Dragon. Witchblade. We know we've probably got the Darkness coming. Like, you're jumping into some hardcore, like, comic books that really need it. Comic books that could use good figures. You know the last Witchblade I had? I still have it. She's trash. But a new, modern Witchblade, if given the same care that you gave, say, Power Girl, that could be a fantastic figure. I don't know how they will do it. I don't know if she will look awkward because of his design, but she could be a fantastic figure. Which version of her do you do? I don't know. You imagine he'll either go the most modern version that we have, or he'll take it back to being basically the naked comic book cover variant that we saw Panezzi always, or he will do the officer still wearing all of her clothes with the armor kind of coming up around her like you've seen most of the time in the comics. Because I know how we see that character. Because we see her a lot through comic book covers. That's the way everybody likes to see her. We all like to see her that way. That's fine. But oftentimes in the books, you would see her in like jeans, the red shirt, the blue shirt, or whatever, a tank top or something, and the armor would like clip around all that. And then if it went away, her clothes were not all scratched up or whatever. She was, so like, which one do you do? I know he's going to go, I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, he's going to go the most modern version of the character. He's not going to do the iconic look from the comic book cover from the original run. That's the one he should do. But then again, when he does her, what's he going to do? He's probably going to do her at $60 plus, because that's what he's doing with all of them right now. And it's just, that price is not okay. Especially since he's not doing anything extra. That line of figures, that Elite, is no different than the Marvel Legends the DC Universe that he was putting out. So he should maintain the DC Universe price. And if he wants to argue, if he wants to make the argument, yeah, but I'm giving you a bunch of extra stuff, then don't give us the stuff. I said it. Don't give us the stuff. Minimalize it. Minimalize it. These are figures that need to be out there for people that have at least been curious about these lines and these comics that they've never seen before. And if their first introduction to something like Witchblade or The Darkness or Savage Dragon is, who's that $60 green guy? That doesn't seem worth it. We're done. We're done. They're done. You're not even including a comic book. Like, if you want to make the argument for the $60 thing, which you still can't make that argument because, just like I said with that Robin, that's a page puncher and whatnot. And like we got the Martian Manhunter that we did, and that came with a comic book, and now he's not $60. That price is unjustified. If it's all the stuff, keep the stuff. And I don't even think they're getting enough stuff to really justify that. I don't. And you're telling me, you can't even tell me that license is more expensive. Stop following me, camera. You can't even tell me that the license is more expensive than the DC license, because that just feels like that's ridiculous. If the DC license was costing, you imagine, more than an Image license, and how much is he paying for an Image license? I mean, some of this stuff is stuff that he got off the ground, right? I don't get it. I cannot justify his current $60 price tag. That is ridiculous. And he doesn't have a leg to stand on. Why? Because it's Elite. Now, you'll notice, I have not complained about the $60 price tag of Maximum. However, I have justified it. I have never been okay with it, but every one that I have bought, I have justified. I bought that Hulk because it was the best Hulk on the market at the time that I could afford at a real price. I'm not paying $200 for a Hulk that's nearly 10 years old at this point. I'm not doing it. The aftermarket for the Hulk at that point was ridiculous. We did an entire video with me going around looking for one. I won't do it. But I would pay $60 for a decent Hulk that's right there right now, and it's not that bad, and I kind of like what I'm seeing. I'll justify it compared to the other possibilities. So I bought it. I'm a Spider-Man putz. I bought it. I'm not. That's it. I'm a fool. I'm a dumb. I'm stupid. They said, "Hey Bill, Spider-Man," and I was like, "Yes." And they were like, "Hey Bill, $60." And I was like, "Oh, guys." And they're like, "Do you want it?" You know I want that. Stop. Give it to Bill. They did a Deadpool. I didn't buy it. I don't like Deadpool. I don't really care. It doesn't mean anything to me. It can be as Maximum as it wants to be. It's not worth that price. If I ever do buy a Deadpool for the shelf, it won't be the Maximum. It's that simple. They're doing a Thor. I don't have a Thor. That looks like a good Thor. The only thing it's missing that I wanted was the spinning hammer. I think he looks a little bit too handsome, but I guess he's the god. So sure, I'm torn. I did not pre-order that Thor. I'm leaving it to fate. When it comes out and it's available on Big Bad, if I have the money, sure. Otherwise, I will keep looking for a Thor. I also have not justified this. I bought the Spawn. We talked about why. I wanted it. I wanted a very good Spawn. The one and only good Spawn. The deal breaker. This is perfect for me. It goes on the shelf. I'll never need another one. I got it. I'm done. $60? Sure, take it. And I've also seen people justify things like the Diablo toy. Was she Lilith or whatever? I know why people are justifying her. When are you going to get another one? Okay. And I see why people are justifying the Doom guy. He's got actual chains. He's got soft goods. He looks really good. He moves well. He's a giant, cool dude with power armor and a gun. He's cool looking. When are you ever going to get another one? Will there ever be another one? How long did you wait to finally get a good one? Justified. I know why people are justifying these. I know why I have justified a couple. But, like, that doesn't mean I'm agreeing with the price. And really, that's all we can do is cherry pick and, I guess, vote with our wallets. But enough people are buying them that price ain't changing. So vote with your wallets all you want, but you're going to have to justify the things that make sense to you because it costs $60. Not that it makes sense, but it does cost $60, and we're not getting away from that now. That $60 Savage Dragon is one symptom of a larger problem. Exclusives, tier systems, worst TMNT on the market. Stagnant product. Give me a second. I'm processing. I'm trying to be fair. Look, you don't got to follow me while I'm trying to think. Camera. When if I think over here, you don't got to be over here. And if I think over here, you don't have to be over here. You can back up, okay? You don't got to follow me all over the place. This is thinking time. This is Bill's thinking time to process the thing that he has read and then talk about it. You don't got to be in my face like that, camera. You don't got to wait for my response so diligently, okay? You and me are going to fight, okay? I know I keep saying I'm going to download that thing and I'm going to get rid of you, but then I don't, and we just keep fighting. You're like part of the show now. You know that, right? I shouldn't be talking to you as much as I do, camera. I should be talking to them. Leave me alone. Okay. Exclusives. I agree. Exclusives are a problem that are ripping through the toy industry. 100%. No argument at all. I think it's a bad practice. I think I understand it from a business perspective. I don't agree with it. It's just like I understand, and this gets complicated. For video games, I understand, and I also agree with it. Exclusives are important. They're system sellers. If you want your system to go well, you have to have exclusives. If everything just ran on the PC, then we just buy a PC, we're done. That's the end of the console market. The only thing that has kept consoles alive for as long as they have been alive is exclusive content. That is not something that can be argued. I promise you. Promises. Nintendo would not exist today without exclusive Mario, Zelda, so on and so forth. You can't convince me otherwise. Why? Because if Zelda and everything else was just available for the PC and you could just buy a Nintendo controller, we're done. The convenience of it alone would kill that market. Oh, I want to play Mario. Steam. Download the entire catalog. Double click. Oh, look, and it's on sale. We're done. Nintendo is done. They survive on their exclusives. They always have. PlayStation, Xbox, When they hurt is oftentimes when they start losing that exclusive content. We've watched it in real time. The consoles do not survive generations without exclusives. That is the business that they've set up, the way that they run their business. But we're not talking about consoles. We're talking about toys. And toys are a different argument. Toys run on accessibility. The more units sold is the more places we can get to them. Comic books would sell better if they were not basically exclusive to comic book stores. I know this because I've lived it. I've seen it. We've seen it. If comic books were something that appeared on the rack at Walmart every month, kids would be more inclined to buy the newest Batman and so on and so forth. They don't because they don't see them. They don't know about them. You think all these people going to Batman movies and things like that wouldn't make a trip through Walmart, be walking across, see a rack of comic books, and think to themselves, hey, $4. I wonder what's going on with Batman now. I haven't read one since I was a kid. I like these new movies. Doop, doop, doop. There's 3 of them. I'll try them out. That's comic books sold because you got them in front of people with money. Toys are the same argument. Where we find them determines whether or not we give a crap to even own them. If they are available, we have a chance at buying them. We might want them. This creating scarcity through exclusive things makes it so that we never find them. Eventually, we just go off to buy new things, and we never buy that one at all. And sooner or later, we just kind of get over it. Who cares? Toys don't work exclusively. Case in point, all these new third-party toys that are trying to come out onto the market that are relying on Kickstarter and desperately need that Kickstarter to get around. They're doing podcasts and whatnot. They're showing up on Mega J Retro. They're trying to talk about their product. They're trying to get out to faces. Not everybody is on YouTube. Not everybody is on Facebook. Not everybody is Instagramming the latest toy news or even knows that they exist or is like skimming Kickstarter for the latest toys. We aren't doing that. And if we're not doing that, we don't see them. And so many of these independent projects die before they ever get off the ground because nobody's talking about them, nobody sees them, and you can't random chance them. Exclusives is a bad thing for toys. Only Walmart, limited quantity. Who bought that Venom? Better yet, I know vendors, convention vendors, that have told me to my face that they have never, ever seen an in-person Target Carnage. They've never seen one. They deal in this product exclusively. They've never come across one, never seen one, never bought one, and never been to a convention that is currently selling one. In fact, I walked into a convention not too long ago and asked one of the vendors that I specifically work with, hey, you know what I'm going to ask? And he says, we have one. We saw one. There's a guy over at the other end right now selling it. I don't know what it costs, but I had to go over there and look at it just because I'd never seen one. And I was like, and of course it was sold out. Why? Exclusives. You're telling me Carnage wouldn't have sold off the shelves at Walmart, online, at Big Bat? Carnage? Come on. Exclusives killed that Carnage. And the aftermarket will not sell because when you're asking $200 for a Marvel Legends, you're going to sit on that forever. Die with it. It could be buried with you. It's not going to happen. Exclusives, I agree. Tier systems, I disagree to a point. I understand your argument, but tier systems also goes into the idea of what Mattel is currently doing for He-Man. I agree with that. I think we should have ready available $10 or $10 to $13 to $15 toys for kids. That's a tier. That's a core line, DC. Kids need Batman. But I don't want to buy those. I need a tier above that that seems to fit the rest of the kind of stuff that I've bought throughout the course of my adult collecting life. And I want a figure that's very different kind of idea, and I want to be able to do photography and things with it, and it's not going to work with the core line the way that I want. So what I want is I want a tier above that. I want Chronicles, quote unquote. I understand tiers to an extent, and I agree with it to an extent, but I think the argument that you're making lies with the whole platinum, red, gold, silver. That's a bunch of hogwash BS. We know that it's just the same figure with a direct label. That didn't make it more expensive. It's the same figure. That is a lie as to what the tiers are. And I think that's what you're referring to. And that I 100% agree with. Those fake tier systems gotta go. Worst TMNT on the market? That's hard to say. I've seen some really bad Ninja Turtles. I won't say it's the best, but I don't know if I could put it at the absolute bottom of the tier. Stagnant product. I would call it consistent. I'm being generous. Call me out. 100%. I'll even give it to you. Oh, look at Bill being a shill here. Okay, if you want to make that argument, that is fine. But I argue, just like I have for Marvel Legends, consistency across the entirety of the line means that the figures that I buy 6 years from now will still pose and act with the figures I buy 6 years from then. I do think that is a selling point for some lines. I don't like my toys to change so dramatically that we end up dealing with the same DC problem that we're currently dealing with, jumping from one thing to another to another to another. Because we've talked about that literally in this episode already. I think that causes its own kind of problem. So I kind of like stagnant product, but I look at it as consistent product. He hasn't changed much, and when he does, it's not big enough to alienate the rest of the line. I wish it would stay consistently consistent or stagnant, however. If you're going to do capes, do them for everybody, and don't do some with wires, and some without, and some with the rubber cape, and some without, and some with the cape that is already built for a wire, but you didn't bother to put the wire in, and some that are just like a flat 1990s old Batman cape. Consistency is important consistently across a consistent line. So I do see problems there. I know that's a lot, but like I said, hey, some of these toy topics are big topics. We could talk for hours, argue for hours, but I would consider it talking. I'm no expert on any of this. You're asking questions. This is what I feel. Trying to be as fair about it as possible when I give answers. We are currently looking at Marvel Legends, so let's set that up, and I will continue on because we are talking today. It's actually a good thing I'm able to talk today. Like I said, that cold I thought would mess me up. I feel like I'm getting a little hoarse, but I'm trying to combat it. I might need some hot tea later. See if I can get even better reaction. Let's see. Let's do... Let's do that. Let's do... Oh. then there. Bam. I hate it just because the box says Elite Edition. They put that bigger at $60, but I hate myself even more for actually buying and then complaining about it. As we should. However, as I've said, my collection is not your collection. Your collection is not my collection. I think we need to be honest about it, honest with ourselves and honest with our other collectors. I don't think we need to call people out and be D-bags about it, to be fair. But, all this being said, everything that we've talked about, if I'm being perfectly honest, I have made very real justifications for the things that I have bought, even when I know that they are overpriced. I'm just honest about it. I think that if we'll all do that, we'll all get somewhere, one way or another. At least we know exactly what kind of putzes we are. Now, if we're going to talk about Spider-Man, I'm a putz. That's simple, okay? Look. They were like, hey, Bill, you want a Spider-Man? He's slightly black. I'm like, give him to me. I know when I'm spending money that's probably better to other figures. But you know what? Spider-Man, I'm sorry. He's going to get my money. He's going to do it. Consistently. Almost every time. I understand that. I see that about me. I'm honest about it. I'm not mad about it. However, you'll notice that there are times that I can't justify something like this Splinter. I waited till he went on sale. We just got to be realistic about what is happening. And we do got to call it out. Even if we justify it for ourselves because it fits something or hits a nerve or speaks to us or it's the only one we're ever going to buy anyway. And with Spawn, that's probably true for me. You'll notice I don't have anything on the shelf that's Spawn, but I've always wanted one. He did the Elite. I paid the $60 because I wanted it. And that's as far as my justification goes. I want one good Spawn. He sold it. He asked a tremendous price, which is unwarranted. But I paid it, and I'll never have to pay it again. I'm done. Everybody else that's currently buying Spawn figures will waste $1 million more than I will for the rest of their lives on Spawn. I'm justified in my single purchase, regardless of the fact that it was overpriced. But it was overpriced. At least we need be honest about it. And I think that's one of the big dividing points for the entire thing. Be real about your hobby. But also be real about your hobby. This ain't for you. It's mine. Sure, I get on here and I share my hobby and I talk about the things and I like to talk about the industry. And sometimes I'm dead wrong about it. Not an expert. And I'll never claim to be. I'll claim to be a collector, like everybody else. If it speaks to me, I want it on the shelf. If it's $130 and it's a guy in a bathrobe that sits on a chair, I want it. I don't care that you don't want it. I don't care what you think about that. He's my naked guy in a bathrobe, and he's on my cool throne with a gargoyle, and I'm happy for that, okay? Sometimes I buy naked men in bathrobes. You could do with that what you will. Look at Alex Chin's Instagram. According to him, last slate of DC Multiverse stuff is going to be Absolute Batman. They can keep that. I'm assuming this continues the Absolute tag. Absolute Superman, they can keep that. Absolute Wonder Woman. They can keep that. That was the only one I paused on because I've always seen her as kind of a warrior that would fit certain ideas that the other ones can't get away with. But even still, this Absolute thing is... It might be good. Let me do this real quick. I have read none of it. Nor do I plan to. If maybe someday there is a graphic novel and I come across it and I have the money and I say, I never read any of that. Let's try it. Sure. At first glance, it reminds me of the 90s. I grew up in the 90s where everything was trying really hard to be cool. Personally, I don't think that it was cool. That's what I'll tell you. I think that it was overblown, ridiculous, edgy, stupid, and most of it I forgot about on purpose or never revisited it again, just like Iron Man's nose. He doesn't need a nose, but it was there for a time. And hopefully I can just forget about it and walk away. But just like all things come back, the edginess of the 90s came back hardcore and absolute. I took one look at the characters and was like, what's that? Nah, it's fine. And I went on with my life. I don't have an opinion other than, what? Don't like it. We're done. So none of these figures would catch my attention. I would probably look at them and go, cool. So I could save money there. Long Halloween Batman? Sometimes McFarlane does a really good job of capturing the art style. I'll have to see that. But I very, very doubt it. I think I'm pretty much done with Batman. I think I literally bought my last Batman from McFarlane. Now he's going to release the Batman that I can't pass on. But I think that I bought my last Batman very recently. Absolute Deathstroke, they can keep it. Absolute Al Ghul, they can keep it. If that's true... If his leak is correct, all of that, I will literally skip the entire last wave of DC Multiverse. Interesting, almost liberating, in fact. There's more, but there is a lot of rumors and leaks. Okay. Oh my gosh, we have a 4-way frickin' tie right now. Oh, and Bill, did you see the new Marvel Legends Doc Samson that got leaked? No. No, I did not. I didn't know anything about that. I'll have to check that out. I did not know that. You guys have a great Sunday. I'm headed out to watch Masters of the Universe. Yes! Yes! I love that movie. It was so good. By the way, Empire was great. Yes. Yes, it was. But grabbed our Sam. Yes, I've heard that's real. I know how we hear rumors all the time, but I heard from a couple of sources now that there is real talk about Galaxy Quest 2 and that it looks like it's the most consistently promising rumor that there's been of all of it. It looks like it's a very real talk happening in the background right now. For Galaxy Quest 2, you go out and get someone who will roll with the joke of the actor recast for a beloved actor joke. Ooh. Oh, man. I hadn't even thought about that. Recast him, but make that part of the movie. That's part of the joke, is the guy is the recasted actor. And oh, man. Dude. I wonder if that could work. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a good one, man. You might be onto something there. I never considered that. My stomach. Here's this big, fat, juicy steak. You need some good. Me. Oh, but toys? I mean, I do get it, but I've kind of heard that my whole life, so yes, yes, Bill, we all have brains. Yes, absolutely. 80 Slash in TMNT cartoon sucks because of his design. That's it. It's possible. I don't remember the design for the cartoon. I told my big story when we opened Slash, so there'll be a chapter about that when that comes out. Like, Slash was a big deal to me, but for a personal collection reason. It really had nothing to do with the show or the comics. So this is a four-way tie. Okay, then. So we're doing it. Spider-Man. Magic the I hate this. I said it. We've talked in the show, in the lives, many times about things being overpriced, but being realistic to what it is. Sometimes we justify things and we blatantly know they are overpriced, but we do it because there are certain things that we want, they speak to us, or we're a completionist, or whatever reasons we give. This right here, I did not buy this. Let me put that as plain as can be. I have this right now because it was a gift. That is the only reason it exists in my hands right now. Did I want this? Yes. This right here is something that we have needed for a very long time. There are certain characters that absolutely need battle damaged variants. And now that I'm finally talking about this, I will do another episode on the side which will talk about certain figures that I believe need battle damaged variants because I have a list. This is something that happens often. Spider-Man often gets torn up. He either punches above his weight class or he takes chances that some other heroes wouldn't take, or he's reckless because he's untrained. He started as a child and he just started doing it. He never, you know what's funny is, even during that time, he never like asked Aunt May or somebody like that, hey, can I take a fighting class or something like that, or can I do this or can I do that? He never like did anything that would have taught him anything. He doesn't understand. Like, have you ever seen Peter Parker go to a range and actually practice with a gun, learn the ins and outs of a gun, why it works, how it works? No, he just relies on that spider sense, and he knows people are shooting and gets out of the way, and then he takes nothing else. Everything else is taken for granted. The second something ever would work in a way that he would not expect, he'd be surprised by it and he'd be out. Because he doesn't understand the thing. He's never really trained. In fact, when he came up against Captain America, when he served on the Avengers for a while, that was one of the things that Captain felt that was weird about Spider-Man, was he was like, you've gotten this far, you have no formal training of any kind. You are just brawling everywhere. Let me train you. And then he starts to go into it, and Parker gets the littlest bit of, oh, I know what I'm doing now, and I'm a fighter guy. He gets like that little bit of confidence on top of the fact that he's survived as long as he has and done what he's done. And he immediately falls back on his basically a week of training during a fight, which should have been no problem at all, and he gets shot. Spider-Man ends up in situations where he gets torn up. Oftentimes because of the kind of person that he is, the personality traits he has, the punching above his weight class, the making uneducated decisions about a situation, and yada yada. It's something that we love about him. He's out there doing this because he can do it. Not because he's been trained to do it, and not even because he knows that he's the only one or something like that. It's not even necessarily that. He has the power to help. He's doing it. And the consequences of that, well, whatever. We've needed a battle-damaged Spider-Man for too long. And finally, we got one. Is it the best? One could argue no. I think that we could have went a little more extensive on some of the damage, but it works. Especially for a first run. Look, I'm kind of hoping that this would have set up a trend. I thought, battle damaged Spider-Man? Surely Wolverine and whatnot is on the way, right? I mean, battle damaged variant Marvel Legends figures? How many of those do I want? Oh man, how many could they sell me? I'm like sitting here honestly wondering about it for a while there. Then I learned that it's a package deal with Magic the Gathering. And then all of a sudden this Marvel Legend is going to be $40. In fact, over $40. As you could tell, this was $41.99, and that was just the beginning. That's not tax. So this comes out relatively close to a $50 figure depending on where you live, where you buy it from. It's raining. $50 figure. I was irritated. I passed on it. Well, now I have it. Because a gift. Is it awesome? Let's see. I got to take a phone call. I'll be right back. Okay, that was mine wife, and she says hello to everybody. So, oh, my door is still open. So, this Spider-Man comes with a web shield. We like the web shield. We do need the web shield. That's fine. It could be bigger. Well, it could be bigger. This doesn't bother me, but it could be bigger. We get a web line because we need another 50 of those. We get another set of wall crawl hands with no damage to the hands, and web shooter hands with no damage to the hands, so then they give us the same hands that we've had 700 times. I'm calling them out a little bit because I feel like maybe we should have like messed up the knuckles and opened the gloves up on one of the hands or something. It would have made this even more unique and pushed the idea a little further, I think. We've got a pretty badly bruised up Parker head where like he's got a black eye. One of his eyes is almost completely shut. He's got scratches on his face. Like that eye is nearly closed. He's got a bloody lip. It's not bad. One could argue maybe his hair should have been more messed up. Like, his hair is straight up immaculate, man. I've been in fights, and my hair was never so wondrous. You got them's Parker genes, man. He's got good hair. This is the Spider-Man. I don't know what is going on with my chin. That just seems weird. I mean, I get it. We've got the torn mask and everything. We've got the torn mask here where part of the hair is hanging out. I like that they didn't do, because we could have easily like broke off part of this mask and put the Parker eye there or something like that. I'm actually kind of happy they didn't do that. We've got the open sleeve completely missing right here, which I like. It comes down off the glove. We've got a couple of scratches here, a couple of scratches here. We got scratches on the back elbow, shoulder, but like they're not bloody or nothing. They're just like scratches. One could argue maybe he should have looked dirty too. Like he's just still Spider-Man. He's still red and blue. We've got a couple of tears right here. We've got the tear on the pants across this way, but there's no visible gash or cut. It's just like a tear where there is little two cuts right here on this part. We've got the open leg. Very little damage here on the boot, and the boot probably right here. Maybe I would have exposed part of his heel or something like that. Otherwise, I'm not sure what body we're on. Is this... He seems smaller than the Renew Your Vow body, but some of the movement seems on par with the Renew. Hard for me to say what body we're on. I'm not going to claim to know. I do like this. I do think that this is... He's beat up. He looks rough. It does work. I don't hate this. I think it's a good first step. And I think realistically, given them time, if this would have went over well, we could have seen a line of battle damage. We could have seen a battle damage wave. Or at least had a gimmick where like there would be one battle damaged character each wave or something like that as they kind of rolled it out. Kind of like what we're getting. Most of the females are getting redone and updated on the new bodies little by little, one per wave. Even though we're getting more than one female a wave that keeps using the old like 10-year buck. But you get the idea. This could have turned into another thing where they were like, okay, now we've done a wave or whatever. Now we're going to do this battle damage guy. But they landed this guy in the Magic the Gathering thing. How did I get this? An old buddy I used to film with guy named Scott. Scott Action Jackson. He still does things here and there, and currently he's actually working on a movie project. That's currently what he went off to do. It's the reason we stopped collaborating, things like that, is he started doing a lot of stuff that he'd wanted to do for so many years. Amongst other issues, there's a reason that Fandom Night shut down the way that it did. But I ran into him. All he wants is the card. Oh, that's interesting. All I want is the Spider-Man. And I was looking at him. He was $60 at a convention. And I was like, am I really about to do this? I really want a battle-damaged Spider-Man, but I do not want to do this. For $60, I could get that and this. And I remember I mentioned to him right then, I said, this irritates me. Because, like, I want this, but I don't want this. And so I put it back down, and I was like, I think I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass again. I don't know if I'm ever going to get this guy. And he said, you can have mine. What? Yeah, you can have it. Like I can buy it from you? Like, no. All I wanted was the card. He bought it because he wanted the Magic the Gathering card. I wanted it because I wanted Spider-Man. The divide on this is a big part of the problem. It's not just the price. Yes, the price is a problem. But you are selling Magic cards, forcing the purchasing of a Magic card with an action figure. It's almost it's worse than the comic book. The comic book at least has some kind of merit. The card, listen, for years we have bought action figures that came with a collector's card. But a Magic card is not the same argument. At all. Hands down. I refuse. It is not the same. This is a problem. I don't know how well this line went, but it must not have went very well. I made a deal with him. If this happens again, if there are figures I want, I'm willing to go half with him to get the figure, and then he can get the card. From him, I got the Mary Jane, the Anti-Venom agent, and the Spider-Man. He just gave them to me because all he wanted was the card. But that interaction with him says exactly what's wrong with this idea. Complain about the Spider-Man all you want. I think they could have went a little more. They could have played out the blood a little more and kind of scratched him up and whatnot. But this is fine. I actually think this is passable. I think it's good. I think it'll take good pictures. I like this. I would have loved it if it would have appeared in, say, a card back. You know, as a Spider-Man. I don't even need the web shield. I don't need the web line. Give me him. Give me the hands. We're done. Save yourself the money, the time, the effort. I don't need the deal. And ironically, the people that you were trying to get in here to buy the Magic cards, they didn't need the deal either. People buying Magic cards ended up with figures that they have no idea what to do with. People buying figures ended up with Magic cards that they had to, like, find a card shop or something that they could try to get back something. And it was probably worth nothing, by the way. Chances are, I don't have this answer, but I have a good feeling that if you took that card and you took it to a Magic shop, you probably did not recoup that much. Maybe you did. I don't know. I have a feeling you did not. I have a feeling it wasn't worth it. I have a contact that I never asked about it, that he could have given me an answer, but I just got this feeling there's no way you recouped that much. And the extra step you have to take to even do it in the first place is ridiculous. This was not good for anybody. Except for me, who was gifted one for free. And that's good for me. I like a free Spider-Man. Oh, man. Free Spider-Man? Oh, gimme, gimme. Everybody else was probably very, very mad about this. And from some of the stuff that I saw back when this was coming out, when we were talking about it, they were. And they were justified to be that level of mad. In fact, I think we did a video specifically talking about it. Finally, after all this time, Spider-Man, battle-damaged Spider-Man, added to the shelf. I'm actually very happy about that. Like legit. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do either that. Oh. Oh. Okay, so there's two possibilities. Or we will do... no. Oh. Okay. There. I'm thinking about doing this from now on with the last of the night, just giving a choice of figures. We're going to test it out here, see how it goes. So the last one of the day, each time we do one of these, will kind of be a my choice, the things that are kind of new that are sitting that I'd like to get some kind of word on. Okay, not to be one of those guys, but it's Shadowhawk. Close, though. There is Marvel hero called Darkhawk. You are correct. You are one of those guys. No, you are correct. You're right. It is Shadowhawk. I don't know why. It's something about him. Camera. It's something about him. Every time I see him, I'm always like, oh, that's Silverhawk. No, that's wrong. Oh, that's Darkhawk. No, that's that's incorrect. Oh, it's Darkclaw. No, that was a different guy altogether. Like, it's one of those things that always I do that. But yes, you are correct. I have no idea why his name gives me so much problem, but it really does. That's interesting. Was there a lot of hawks going on in the 90s? Shadowhawk, Darkhawk, Laser... Yes! Yes, there was. Yes, there was. And coming off the 80s with things like the Silver Hawks, which you would imagine would be hawk-like people that are silver, like what this guy is. Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely 100% yes. Weird now that you mention that. You and me are gonna fight. Nintendo would still exist without exclusives because of a how do I put this? A deal with the Yakuza occurred back in the God, yeah, that's right. I don't think it would exist the way that people think about it, though. I don't think those consoles, like, I don't think a Switch would be like a thing. Exactly. I meant the whole platinum, red platinum stuff. So I was right. That's one of the reasons why I've not rushed out to buy the kids' DC Mattel line. I'm waiting to see and get a glimpse at the collector's line first before I make a decision. Right. In no world should Todd McFarlane, the godfather of adult collectibles, be competing with BTS XAXN on the TMNT front. I'm going to give you this. Okay? Regardless of my being nice and defending Todd for what it's worth. His TMNT line is bad. I'm not calling it good. And I get where you're coming from. He's tried certain things that I don't understand. Like the weird, foot swapping thing so that you can have them on their tiptoes. I don't know what that's about. I don't know why he decided to do that. There's some weird decisions in there that don't work. It just feels wrong. But you get the idea. I can agree with that. That is weird. By the way, Bill, picked up Secret Wars Daredevil from Target on the way home just the other day. Little mini review. Maybe the best Daredevil Hasbro has put out, in my opinion. He looks really good. Everything that I have seen makes me feel like what you have just said makes sense. Spawny Putts. Definitely cooler than Spider Putts. Oh, who you trying to fight? Who you trying to fight? Oh my gosh. Nobody wants to talk about that Batman Dark Knight. There's one thing I want to particularly forget about is 90s feral man beast Wolverine wearing... Oh my gosh. Oh, I know. 90s had some of the worst. Oh, it's so bad. I meant to add that the leak for Ra's al Ghul is not from the Absolute Universe. It's supposedly a comic book classic Al Ghul. Would that get my attention? I don't know. I'd have to see him. I don't know. That might get my attention. Galaxy Quest should have Brent Somewhere and LeVar Burton as himself hosting Reading Rainbow. Dude, that would be fantastic. I know you meant Spiner. Hi, Bill's wife. It is the Renew Your Vows body. All right, I was pretty sure, but I didn't know for sure. There's actually a leak for another wave. It's going to have a Captain America, a Black Panther, Malice, Sue Storm, and Doom 2099. Captain America will probably not get my attention. I'm pretty happy with what I've got at this point. We've talked about it. Black Panther, Malice. Oh, sorry. Black Panther. I don't know. I don't have one. There are others I could get. I very much doubt it. Malice, Sue Storm, I hate you. I hate you for doing it, Hasbro. Malice, after all this time, a Malice Sue Storm, and you would release her in the Magic the Gathering caught behind a paywall release? That, and you can't act like we're surprised. How long have we wanted that? They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Yeah. Malice, Sue Storm. That would be the one that would get me. They'd get my money. I'd justify it. I know I would. It'd be like just if they released a comic accurate Goblin Queen. They'd get my money on it. I know they would. What you need is a Solomon Grundy now that I think about it. Why? to hang out with Dumbface. I have a Solomon Grundy. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Oh, that's a big boy. Solomon Grundy, Green Lantern, McFarlane. Here we go. This is what I've needed. This closes my Justice Society. For a while, I've been talking about wanting Justice Society figures. And specifically, there's a couple that I need. A couple. Very specifically, what I wanted to close it out, I wanted a Wildcat guaranteed. I wanted a Alan Scott. I wanted a Jay Garrick. I got a Jay Garrick. I got a Wildcat, and I kept fighting with myself about whether or not I was going to pay the money for an aftermarket Green Lantern Alan Scott. Now I don't have to. They not only released him, they released him with a fantastic Grundy. That finishes my JSA. Everything else I get from this point on, JSA wise or classic older hero wise, is just fun. It's just fun. It's just, oh, cool. Done. I don't need anything else. I'm happy where I am at this point. If they release 20 more JSA figures, that would be unbelievable. But if they did it, none of them would necessarily get my attention. I'd be like, oh, that's cool, or no. That's it. This is so cool. I have wanted this to finish it out. Now, one could argue it would have been cool to have the old man Alan Scott, the old man Jay Garrick, the way that I remember them, right? Because when I grew up, I read the JSA, and they were older heroes that were training new heroes. I thought that was so cool. It is really cool to have the young versions of them, and I'm fine with that. The young versions of them, it's also cool to put them on the shelf and kind of do like a comparison. It'd be neat to have like, put them in a line, all the classic heroes that I have, and put the others in a line, all the classic heroes that I have. Like, you know, there's a Superman right there if you want to look, because for some reason you came real close, camera. I'm telling you, man, what is it with you today? But like, it'd be cool to put them all in a line and like kind of pick alternatives. Like, of course, the Superman that would be flying on one side would be, of course, going against Captain Marvel, because that makes the most sense. Or, sorry, Captain Thunder is the one that I chose to buy specifically because I thought that was just a really cool talking point. And it would be really cool to see something like, you know, like the classic Wonder Woman on one side, of course, would just contend with a classic Wonder Woman on the other side. But I wouldn't do a classic Batman on one side and a classic Batman on the other side. I think, in fact, Wonder Woman, I would take the Wonder Woman on one side. And if I'm trying to keep it to like classic designs versus without the, then I would take that Wonder Woman on the classic side, and I would have her match up against the Black Canary, because that feels, it's not perfect, but you get the idea. Like, I wonder what I would do. Like, I really do. Because, like, now I'm trying to think about it. Some of them are tough. I have a classic Batman and a modern Batman. I could have them verse. But it makes more sense for Wildcat to be over here on the JSA side, rushing against a more modern Batman. And I don't care. I don't care that you feel the way you do. Wildcat will dismantle Batman. I said it. I said what I said. Hand to hand, no gadgets. We gonna fight. Wildcat wins that fight. I don't care. I also would argue that Black Canary wins a hand-to-hand against Batman. And I think that's fine. It's even great. Batman does not need to be the end-all, be-all of all superheroes that ever superheroed. He can lose. I think it makes him a better hero for having limitations. And I think there are certain people that would wash him in a no gadgets, no prep time, we're fighting. I really do. And I think some of those people are heavily associated with the JSA. Heck, one of the Bat family themselves would make a joke out of him if they decided to just fight hand to hand. Because that Batgirl, and I'm not talking about Barbara, that Batgirl is dangerous. Absolutely. I feel that way. Always have. I don't remember this guy's entire saying. I don't. I tried to tell my daughter about him. She was like, who's this guy? And I was like, that's Grundy. And she's like, and? I was like, oh, man. And then I, like, tried a couple of lines, and I knew almost instantly that I was wrong. I mean, I was getting one or two of them right, but, like, I couldn't remember, like, as it went. I would definitely have to look it back up. I now have the ridiculous lantern. Let's be fair, he's ridiculous. He's ridiculous because you want to talk about an overpowered lantern, but at the same time, like, a guy that's completely friggin' underappreciated. Like, that's Alan Scott all the way. That's Alan Scott all the way. Okay, let me open this. Holy crap, man. They sprang for the whole extras package on the plastic tabs. He is putting the plastic tabs. I'm telling you right now, if you have stock in those little plastic tabs, when McFarlane leaves the DC space, you're going to lose money. You're going to lose money. Okay? Money will be lost because like, you think that's enough? Dude, that is ridiculous. Why do we not just trust the plastic sleeve to do what it's supposed to do? If nothing else, put the plastic sleeve on there, print out a flat plate, put it on there and tape it and we're done. Like, and then I will take the plate off and then take the toys out. These little tabs are ridiculous. So you know what I'm going to say right off the bat? We got stands. I'm not sure if you know this, McFarlane, but a Green Lantern can fly. Yeah. Like the ring gives him the power to fly. And he is known for flying. Like on the regular. So maybe, just maybe, flight stand. Yeah, it would be nice. Thank you. Thanks in advance. Even though you already failed. We have this really, really cool, like, fiery sword thing. We have the same green punchy thing that we've seen on so many Green Lanterns, but it makes sense for him. And we have the lantern. Now, Alan's ring is different. Alan's ring, where he powers that ring up, it's a magic. It's not the same. It does some hard light constructs and things like that, but it's not the same thing. This is it. So like, I like the fact that they went out of their way to give us something a little different for him that makes sense for his ring, because that is cool. He doesn't just make the hard light constructs in the exact same way. Over time, they have kind of retconned where his ring is pure magic. He's not the same thing as them, and his constructs are different. They're more energy-based and things like that. And later on, if you go all the way to Kingdom Come, he proves to be way more powerful than pretty much the entirety of the Corps. Like, he's broken. Here he is. Can we take a second to admire how simple times must have been? Like, guys, this is a superhero costume. Superhero. The best of us. They're flashy, they're theatrical, they're above, they're proud. They're good people. They save us. They show us what it means to be the best of ourselves. This guy got a Dracula cape from Spirit of Halloween. He got himself his red granddad sweater or long sleeve shirt. Got himself a little iron-on symbol, literally. That's just a little yellow. He just put it on there. Set home with his iron. Oh man, that's going to be so dope. Got himself his green work slacks. His belt is regular, like the same belt that he wore to work that day. The only thing that even comes close to being like bizarre is this. Like, he bought whatever this is. I don't know what those are. Those boots, that's the only thing that's like unique or interesting about his whole costume. Like, and then like he bought like from the Spirit of Halloween store, the same place that he bought this Dracula cape. He was like, oh, I'm probably gonna need so that nobody knows who I am. Oh, cool, an opera mask. And he took the little domino thing and he was like, oh, perfect. Superhero. Like, this was such a different time, man. The only thing that you would have trouble if you wanted to recreate this, figuring out how he did this. That's it. It's the most complicated part of his entire outfit, is he must have spent a portion of his savings back then to have these like custom made. And then again, he was a machinist. Maybe he just made it. I mean, he made the ring, made the lantern. Maybe he just made it. So I guess if you have some like bronze or gold sitting around, you know, shape it out and That's about the only part that would need a skill set. And even then, that wouldn't need a skill set. You have the ring. You could literally take the element home and then think about what you wanted to do with it and create the hammers and the workshop and everything off the ring. Tinky tinky. You don't even have to be over there. You just have to think about the fact that you want it done, and there you go. Boots. Tinky tinky. Ha ha. Powers. This is so wild. Every time I see one of these old heroes, regardless of how much I might love them, they are so goofy. By even the standards of when I grew up. I'm not even talking about today. The 80s was looking at this guy going, yeah, time has kind of moved on without you. Maybe we could change this. And they tried. They tried to change him up. I have not liked almost anything else that he has ever worn. So I have. It's been a mixed bag. Something about how ridiculous this is does feel iconic, and it's him. Where when they do change this up, even if it looks right, even if it looks cool, it never feels quite right. And when they try to make him edgy, don't do that. He's from a different time. Let him be from a different time. Don't edge him out, okay? It doesn't work. It's not something we need in our lives. This cape is heavy. It's like thick. It almost makes me wonder if it's the reason that he didn't get the wire. Makes me wonder about the Robin. Does the Robin have a cape similar to this? Because it's yellow and black. And I'm wondering, because this is definitely, you could tell that it's two fabrics and they put them together and they sealed them. I don't know if they probably glued this down or if they pressed it or something like that and then they cut it at the machine or whatever. This is staying up. It works. I mean, it works. It's got no wire. You're going to constantly be at a point like, and you can't necessarily put it like, I'm trying to hold it over to this fan here and like it's not blowing the cape because the cape is heavy. It's heavy. I like it. But I am curious. Like, I kind of feel like I wonder if I know why they didn't do the wire. I wonder if it would have been something that would have, the weight of the cape would have weighed the wires down in time and you would have just got mad about that. So they just kind of decided, all right, well, he's an old hero. It's kind of an old figure idea. Let's just do the cape and not worry about it. Am I irritated this time about it? I do feel like all the capes need to be wired and cloth at this point. I'm willing to let this one go for no other reason than I guess it just doesn't bother me. Like, and I think it's because this is thick and it's big and they didn't skimp on the cape. I mean, it's a big cape. Like it can basically wrap around him. So like if I wire it with a heavy material, like a heavy wire, and then sew it in or something like that, it'll be fine. I don't think that I'm going to see any kind of problems. Then there's this guy right here, looking very dapper in his suit. He came in his Sunday best. He's ready for throwdown. Oh my gosh, he's friggin' huge. Grundy. His tie is an actual piece. Like, you could take his head off and take the tie off. That's kind of neat. I like that it's an actual piece. The rope is not. The rope is very much something that's like, you can see that it's like plastic and then they only bother to color it here and then this part hangs down or whatever. I'm kind of impressed by that, where they have the torn pants and then it goes down one part of the leg. And I'm actually kind of impressed by that, in all honesty, because like here, like his knee is out. I see how they did it. They made it the 90-degree knee, so it's not where this knee joint, but that almost would have worked too. If this knee joint, if it would have been a double knee, the knee just would have been out and they would have crafted this and then you would have had the double knee. These big, huge guys, oftentimes they don't get the full articulation. They just get these big guy things. which is fine. It's one of those things that kind of I've come to accept for like the big giant guys. It's not big, but he does have kind of a mild, the McFarlane level butterflies. They're not really anything to write home about, but they give you a little bit more movement than nothing at all. You almost could argue that it is still nothing at all, but you get the idea. Otherwise, we've got decent T-poses and things like that. He's good. Like, crap, hold on. Let me... One could argue that's almost a benefit because I got to pull those tabs. I gotta find it. There. Fixed. That concerned me for about a millisecond till I looked at it and seen, because it looked like it was broken there for a second, but it was just this little piece of plastic that hadn't melted and been cut away from the thing. Dude, this is nice. I didn't have a Grundy. Now I do. He's a ginormous clunker. Fantastic. That's pretty much my thoughts on it. Nothing to get crazy about. Just to say that I'm thrilled to have it. And that's that. Well, we've been here for a while, but we've opened a lot. This stream has been 3 hours, nearly 3 hours and 40 minutes. That's a pretty good stream to be fine. But yeah, dude, we did a lot. We looked at an old Flash. We looked at an old Starfire. We looked at Splinter, Metalhead, a Spider-Man. We got a Solomon Grundy. We got freaking Green Lantern. Like this is a good one. We got a lot out of the way. I'm going to have a lot to throw away. Pretty good. Yes. I hate your because it's dark and edgy. Look, I grew up in the 90s, man. I had my fill of it when in the 90s. If it's edgy and dark and whatnot for the sake of being edgy and dark, and it's not really a property that loans itself to that all that well, it just kind of bleeds on you. It makes me not really care for it. But you can't really say that I'm against edginess or darkness or savagery or whatever, because I'm a huge Conan the Barbarian fan, and I prefer it when they don't tone that universe down. So, like, it's kind of a hard... Yeah. It's just, I lived through it in the 90s, and I'm done living through it. I don't need my characters to be overly edgy for the sake of nothing more than being edgy. It doesn't do anything for me personally. Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, christened on a Tuesday, wed on a Wednesday, took ill on Thursday, worse on Friday, died on Saturday, buried on Sunday, and I only had to look up Tuesday and Friday. Okay. I see, I didn't remember all that. I remembered born on a Monday. I remember that he died on, but I thought he died on Thursday. So yeah, I was missing parts of it. I just knew that it was a thing. How many times have you gotten a figure with a broken leg so it might be good to have it secured? Hold on. I'm trying to be honest. Once. That was it. I think I've only ever opened a figure one time ever and had it broken right out of the box. That's it. Once. One time ever. Maybe I'm very lucky. I don't know. Now if I open it and I move it around and I break it, that doesn't count. That's a different argument altogether. If I try to pull it out and I don't realize the tab is there and I snap the leg, that's a different argument altogether. It's not the same thing. If the leg pulls out of socket while I'm here on the show and I'm trying to show it off, but it's not actually broke, that's a different argument altogether. It's not the same thing. So once ever, I've opened one figure ever in my entire life, even all the way back as being a kid, one figure ever that I opened that came out of the plastic broken out of the box. Ever. So these, they don't feel necessary to me. In fact, I could argue they most likely can't be necessary because I've even bought a whole bunch of G.I. Joes now. Like, almost half the G.I. Joes I bought came in those closed boxes where they were just literally a cardboard box and the figure was just kind of thrown in a little box in the box. And you could literally hear them shake around in there. Even those weren't broken. So, no, I think that if the quality checks are done well and you have it secured, and how many high-end figures do we get that are literally, they have the plastic and you put them in the plastic and then you put the little thing over the top of them and you tape the sides and that holds them in place and that's it and that's all we got. My Conan the Barbarians didn't come broke. None of my Frazettas have come broke. None of my Mythic Legions came broke. They're not all twisty tied in there. Like, these tabs, I'm not a big fan of them. I don't see them as a necessity. He also has the power to move you. Flight stands, what are those? Back in my day, we didn't have no spirit of Halloween. We went to the drugstore and bought a Halloween costume and Superman had the same boots. Dude, I grew up with like the mask, with like the pull tab and like you're wearing basically the plastic bag thing and you were Superman or whatever. I remember that. I went as Superman and as Spider-Man and I had the little mask you put with the little string and it digs into the back of your head. I had that. I know. Haterade with Edge. I do. It just, all I can tell you is I'm old enough to have lived through the 90s. Dude, everything was extreme and Edge and exports and like even our sodas were extreme. Like we just couldn't get away from it, man. Everybody had pockets and giant guns and they were overly buff, muscly, and but this was my Flash. Are you seeing this? Look at this guy. This is Wally West. This is why when I say I have a haterade for all the Edge extreme, I'm just done with it. I lived through it. I did my extreme. I had the hardcore edginess for the... Careful not to cut yourself on that comic's edge, man. I just didn't care. I loved the extremely goofy movie, by the way. I don't care. But, once again... Exports! Extreme! Like... Dang, I missed the Trek opening. We talked about Barkley, sir. So if you want to go back, it was like one of the first things we opened. So if you want to go back and check it out, Barkley. We opened Barkley, man. 90s. It was also the age of how many ammo pouches? Oh my gosh, everybody had like 50 pouches. Dude, and everybody was mega buffed, and everybody had to have, like, a huge, like, gun, and, like, oh, dude. It's just, and 90s was when we did all the redesigns. Everybody had to have, like, a redesign. You'll notice that almost nothing from those redesigns survived. Even if we liked the redesigns, they did not survive the test of time, because that edgy crap is edgy. It's all it is. It's edgy. Look, remember when Captain America was wearing armor? That's gone. Remember when Wonder Woman dressed like a street hooker? That's gone. Remember when, remember Thor? Oh my gosh, 90s Thor. Oh my, so bad. Oh, so bad. Remember for a while? Yeah, like there was spikes all over Batman. Oh, remember this? Remember how this did not survive the test of time? Like, where's this? Where's this in the comic books right now? Show it to me. Show it to me. Show me in the last 10 issues where this was. He's not there. Because this is ridiculous. Edge. Oh, man. Nobody was safe from it. Nobody was safe from it. It was kind of wild. Like, dude, even the Thing. he got like a scar on his face, and he started wearing like a metal mask, and he had like a giant gun, and he had a tank top. Oh, come on. What are we doing? Dude. And we just couldn't leave. Remember, that's around the time, too, when Sue Storm was like, I need to be noticed. They backtracked it now, and they played off the whole, oh, well, you got to understand that was malice and blah, blah, blah. But she started cutting a number 4 boob window into her shirt and removed about more than a third of her outfit because she wanted to be noticed or whatever, and she was no longer going to be the invisible girl. She was all woman. And like, dude, we were trying too hard. Everything had to be extreme. We were trying too hard. Who needs Superman when you have Extreme Flash that can beat up Bane by himself? And even Superman wasn't saved from it. Remember, we took all of his powers and like turned him into like some electric blue, cool, edgy, like new flashy Superman thing. And Batman at that time was 3 times the normal limit of buff, and he had the big giant ears that like even curved back, and his cape was ridiculously long, and he had like vampire talons in the JLA book, and like, oh, come on. Trying too hard. Trying way too hard. The 90s pretty much edged me out. So now, when I see something start up, and they're like, oh, check this out, we're redesigning. And I look at the redesign, and I'm like, oh, okay, 90s. All right, I'm done. Like it just, that's why when they did the Absolute, I haven't read any of it. I can't talk to the storyline. It might be good. It very well could be good. It could be a good storyline. But that artwork, that comes right out of the stuff I've just already had enough of in my childhood. Duke Nukem was everything 90s. Spawn really changed everything. Spikes, and people had to have like the one big boot. Remember the big boot thing that happened for a while? Everybody had one big like foot. Like that. Come on. Fair, but one of the things that actually survived, that's that Scarlet Spider costume. Scarlet Spider may have been created from the edginess, but his costume was in line just enough to just be classic that it survived the test of time. There aren't very many 90s or early 2000 outfits that you can point to and say, we're still using that. They tried. They were like, check it out, we're going to do this now. And everybody was like, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're not going to do that now. Let's not. Okay, that's enough for me. I got to make a phone call, see if my kid wants to go with me and my dad to Chicken and, just do some life stuff. Wes, definitely go check out the Barkley. I talk about how I love the fact that he's like a normal guy in a Trek universe and whatnot. I think you'll appreciate it. The new Harley Quinn for Absolute is very 90s. I'll have to check her out. I think with Scarlet Spider, they thought less is more. And I think they were right. I think it really worked. And that hoodie thing, that over jacket thing, even though he was incredibly rare that he ever put the hood up. But that has survived the test of time and made it into other designs even. I've been watching a guy explain the Absolute Universe. It sounds awesome because when the costumes are edged, the backstories are reversed, and they'll play out as the same characters. And they'll see if they play. Okay. Happy to drop by. Stay safe, everyone. Star Trek TNG Playmates is my absolute favorite toys of all time. We'll definitely check it out. All right, guys. That's enough. I'll answer these things all night. I got stuff I got to do. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. Big, long stream today. We almost put in 4 hours. Going to be a heck of an editing job. I will get to those. I really am. I'm working on it. I appreciate it, and I will see you next Sunday, if not videos in the future this week.